Record. We haven't talked in so long.
I thought we would be like catching up on other things, but we're just getting right into it.
No way.
We're just so excited about.
It's been 17 years
too.
since I've gotten to talk to you guys about Final Fantasy, and I'm fucking ready to start talking about how.
That's right.
As Curtis said, new Yevon is new Hitler. But it's okay. He's fine now, I guess.
No, he's good this time.
I swear he's good this time. It's fine. What were we saying, Alex? How far did I get?
Oh, I just remember, we were just chatting at some event
at a cemetery.
At a cemetery.
Alex and I have gotten really goth in the break, where we hang out in cemeteries now and have lovely days with our partners.
That does sound really lovely.
Sendings are done, so graveyards are in. Also, Curtis, I think you had a big alert go off on your phone.
I, in fact, did. I have not silenced my phone because no matter how many years of podcasting we do, I will never stop being amateur swine.
It is nuts that this has been going on for years, for as long as it's been going on.
They haven't. No one's broken in and stopped us yet. FBI, open up!
Fish has tried countless times.
He hates podcasts.
Don't we all, brother?
Y'all ever heard of this game, Final Fantasy X-2, though?
They made a sequel to 2? To 10?
They made a sequel to 2.
They made
10 of them.
sequels to 2.
Yeah. Do you need to play 1-2 through 9-2 to understand the plot of 10-2?
It's weird. It's X-2.
Yeah, it's X-2.
The best one.
Final Fantasy VIII.
That's right, everybody. Surprise, we're doing Final Fantasy VIII. No. By the way, this is the Every F and FF podcast. I'm Curtis.
I'm Carl.
I'm Alex. It's showtime, girls.
Ooh, very good. Well done.
I think in terms of cold open, that was probably the coldest one because we haven't done this in a while. And 2, we were just like, oh, you know what? We're kind of just bullshitting. Let's just get some B-roll. And then it's just like, oh no, we just started recording and then immediately jumped back into the hot seat of being podcasters. But since this is the start of a new season, I guess we should also just say, hey, this is the Every F and FF podcast where eventually gonna play through every one of these games. We've done a bunch now. Don't ask me to list them because
7 of
my
them.
memory is really bad, but I think I said this last season as well, but if this is your first time listening to the podcast because you're drawn in by this game, wow. I'm surprised, but we're glad to have you here.
I'm not. Final Fantasy X-2 is a crowd pleaser.
I am excited to talk about that a little bit more as well, just like the reputation of this game and stuff. But I just want to say welcome. I hope you enjoy it here. We do, I guess, I think, because we've been doing it for a long time. I enjoy it. I don't know. I think other people do too, so.
There's all kinds of time for us to ruin our own reputation with each other and the listener. So
maybe this season.
Yeah, maybe this will be the one.
But yeah, if you're not familiar with the format, we'll probably spend 40 episodes talking about this game as we play through it, like a weird book club, and we extrapolate way too much from it and get probably way too deep into it.
Not in a meaningful way. We're not finding new discoveries that are breaking the shit wide open. It's just wow,
to be fair,
really
Alex has done that multiple times.
That's true. I am not giving credit to the best. We oftentimes joke about the best one of Final Fantasy being Final Fantasy VIII, but unequivocally, undeniably, the best one of the podcast is Alex because this man's a magician when it comes to this shit.
Just discovering lost cutscenes in Dirge of Cerberus that no one has seen before. It's like, what?
It's more like no one wanted to find them.
Shane M's like, I wanted to.
So, I would like to start by telling you all a story, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
All right. So imagine with me, if you will. I am pulling up to your house in my DeLorean from a Final Fantasy Back to the Future, right? I open the door and I say, "Get in, losers. We're going back in time." And you're like, all right, Final Fantasy
It's your
X. 2.
kids,
I'm like, all
Waka.
right, so-
we gotta do something about your kids.
We gotta do something about your kids, Waka.
The year is 2000. We have roughly almost 2 years to stop something major from happening. You know I'm talking about the release of Final Fantasy X. We cannot let that happen.
So here's the surprising thing. We're not going back to 2000 or 2001 even. We're going to go back to 1995. In a country that a couple people have heard of before called Germany, right? And the story that we're going to tell this season, it starts not with video games and it doesn't start with fantasy.
Curtis was talking about Hitler like 2 minutes ago.
No, it does not start with Hitler either, but it does start with German techno.
Okay. You're reeling me back in. You're reeling me back in.
And specifically, two German electronic music composers, Heiko Schmidt and Roberto Rosen. So, in 1995, these two producers were making, they had come together, they were independent musicians, they started like a band essentially together and were producing music together and releasing singles, right? And they released 4 singles over the next 4 years. So did they do one every year? I don't know. It just says 4 over 4 years. But in the next 4 years, they released 4 singles to like some success.
They did one and then just under the wire of 4 years
Yeah, in
later,
December,
they took the world by storm.
And they did it to like some success, right? Like they didn't like blow up, but they at least got like local radio play and stuff like that. So big enough to like catch a little bit of attention and kind of establish their names. And neither of them were vocalists. So on all 4 tracks, they got different vocalists to come in and sing on their music. But after their 4th one, they decided to kind of bring together a couple musicians and have a more permanent band type setting. So they named their band Sweetbox. Okay, so they brought in a new singer. They brought in oh god, what is it?
I love watching Curtis explain this, and I'm like enthralled because I have no idea where this is going, and I'm excited to see where it's going. But just watching Alex's face, just like stoically, like nodding along, like interested, to where I'm like, I don't know if Alex knows where this is going. I don't know if I'm just missing something, but
well. So they bring together this band called Sweetbox with singer Tina Harris, and on their 1997 single, they released the song "Everything's Gonna Be All Right," which is just a beat over top of Bach's Suite Number 3.
Whoever thought the sun would come crashing down? My life in flames, my tears concrete the pain. We feel the end. The darkest.
I listened to it. I don't think it's that good personally, and not only did I listen to it, I listened to their first 3 albums, like all of them, and personally, not a fan of Sweetbox. I'm gonna be real with you; it doesn't quite work for me.
I do have one question about Sweetbox, as I'm kind of putting myself in the timeline as well. How fitting would this song or one of the other 4 hits that they wrote over 4 years, or any of the 3 albums that you would listen to worth of music, would fit well on the compilation album from 1994, Pure Moods?
I think that it would be like not a skip track. It would be the one that you
skip.
Not a skip track. It would be in between like 2 bangers as a like come down. Put it this way.
Between the Twin Peaks theme and then the X-Files theme for some reason.
Well, like, okay, so I did listen to all their music, and most of it is just beats on top of classical music, which like, I'm not going to tell anybody what they do is like lazy or not worth it or whatever, because it clearly has time. It did really well, right? Like they'd actually got pretty big.
We're podcasters. It's fine.
Yeah, we're podcasters. Nobody cares about what we do. So, but I will say like the lyrics are a little saccharine for me. For instance, the song "Life Is Cool," where in the refrain she says "Life is cool" and just says like kind of like nice platitudes over top of Pachelbel's Canon in D.
I mean, hey, if you're gonna write a song, you might as well write it as Pachelbel's Canon in D. They worked for fucking
Someone's
Blues
already
Traveler,
wrote the
baby.
best one. Yeah, just do it again.
Yeah, Blues Traveler wrote the best one. It's called The Hook.
But
my life is so cool. My life is so cool. Oh yeah, from a different point of view, my life is so cool. Oh yeah, from a different point of view.
Beautiful. Beautiful lyrics.
So I need to bring it back to Pure Moods again real quick because you're talking about just putting lyrics or whatever over top of classical music. Much to the way that Enigma did the same thing with Sadness. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Where they did that and they took some like Gregorian chant that they did not have the commercial rights to and got into a lot of trouble with, but that song's a fucking bop.
With the Gregorians had copyright.
Yeah, it was like the choir that like the Gregorian chant choir that like recorded it and stuff as a spiritual thing.
The 1500s monks who wrote it were pissed as fuck. Like,
no, it's like whoever had I don't know, they got into a lot of copyright trouble with it because they made a shit ton of money off of that song because that song rocks because of the Gregorian chant.
So with their single "Everything's Gonna Be All Right" did really, really well. It kind of propelled them from being like moderately successful to extremely successful, so much so that they got international play, right? And then the next year they released their first full-length album, which was self-titled, which debuted very high in Europe, but at number 1 in Japan. So in Japan, Billboard number 1, right? So Japan loves them, huge band there. The band realizes this, and on their second album that comes out called Classified, which is now certified platinum in Japan also, like really, really big deal, they decide to start touring extensively internationally, right? But they no longer have their original singer, Tina Harris. So Tina Harris leaves the band, and they bring on another singer whose name I'm going to try to pronounce is Jade Villalon? I don't know how to say it, I'm going to be honest with you. But as far as their 2000 Japan tour goes, I could barely find any information online about it. I could not find dates. I couldn't find like venues or anything like that. I was actually kind of like, maybe they didn't actually tour in 2000, except for two things. There are promotional singles and shirts from the tour that do not have the dates or venues on the back, which, like, if you're gonna buy a tour shirt, that's the thing you want on the back of the shirt, whatever, regardless. But thanks to an Instagram user named Jade Holic Info, because again, their singer's name is Jade, they have a 10-second clip on Instagram of them playing a song on that tour in Japan. So, like, thank you, Jade Holic _info for your Instagram post of that tour, so that I knew that tour really
also
happened.
Thank you, Cassiopeia Irony, for all of your posts on Instagram, because they're incredible as well.
That's right. So what I'm going to put a pin in this story for just a moment, okay? So Sweetbox, pretty big in Japan, touring in Japan in the year 2000 with their new album Classified with the singer Jade Villalon. Okay, so we're going to put a pin in that right now, and we're going to go to a slightly different story that happens 1 year prior in Japan. Okay,
sure.
So 1 year prior in Japan, in 1999, there is a large music corporation in Japan called Avex. And Avex is putting together what is going to be like a really big push for, like, you know how like we had like the boy band craze, there's like boy bands,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was like the equivalent of the girl bands like Spice Girls, you know, and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah,
they're putting together a girl band that's going to be like their forefront kind of project called Dream, and to do so, they hold auditions. And there's auditions held in Japan for this band called Dream, and over 120,000 people try out, which I can't, like, in my brain imagine 120,000 people, much less 120,000 people trying out for the exact same band. That's crazy. That's so many people, right? But the deal is there's multiple auditions, and the winner of each audition will get to be a part of the band. Currently, the band Dream is still going. They're now 8 people, but at the time when this happened, it was 3 people. So they were looking for 3 people to join this band, right? So they do the auditions. Winners from each one are picked, and everybody else goes home, right? With the exception that it sometimes works a little bit like American Idol does here, where, like, a record executive or a band will see one of the runner-ups and be like, yo, they did really well, I would like to work with them.
We got ourselves a classic from Justin to Kelly moment here.
That's exactly right.
The runner-ups usually have more options in those shows because they,
I think wasn't Ruben Studders also like the runner-up, or I'm
not sure.
But
in
I
this
asked that
case,
question and immediately was like, I don't care what the answer is. Don't correct.
What's that? Really? There's like a really good Kelly Clarkson song. What is this?
Her entire discography.
Oh,
Next
yeah,
question.
that's right.
Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good song. Anyway, so we're talking about a runner-up for the Avex Dream audition, Kumiko Koda. Okay, so Kumiko Koda, at the time she's still young, she's just out of high school. I really enjoyed reading about her because she has a little bit of a story that I find, especially for like pop icons, doesn't quite line up with a lot of their personalities, and I really like it because she's a little bit dour, I think.
Hell yes.
She wrote a little bit of like a novella biography, like a short biography of herself, where she recounts her time as a kid and was like, I hated being a kid. It sucked. Everybody made fun of me because I was fat and ugly and short, and I hated it, and I don't ever want to go back, and it blows. And I was like, I love that.
And this is in stark contrast to Sweetbox, who was saying that life is in fact cool.
Cool, yeah.
That,
she said life is in fact uncool. not good, actually. But Kumiko Koda, from a very early age, is very, very good at music, right? Her father is actually a shakuhachi master, and her mother is a koto instructor. So, like, two very difficult to play Japanese instruments, and her parents are masters at both of them. Like, that's fucking awesome, right?
That's
like,
so
I think
cool.
it's like super cool.
Yeah, that rocks.
But so she gets second place at the Avex Dream audition. She gets more opportunities. She's already like writing her own like kind of pop music by herself at this point, but she now gets the opportunity to work with larger producers. Okay. And this is in the year 1999 when the audition happens. She comes out with a couple singles over the next year or two. Now, the stories come together. Okay. In 2003, so 3 years after Sweetbox's tour of Japan, 4 years after the Avex Dream auditions, Kumiko Koda and Sweetbox both release unrelated albums. But two of the tracks on those albums are the same song. So if you listen to them either way, you get the same music on the back half.
What a coincidence, dude.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
What are the odds?
What are the odds? And those two songs are called Real Emotion and 1,000 Words. Two tracks written for the 2001 video game by Square, Final Fantasy X-2. 2003 game, Final Fantasy X-2. 2001 was 10, right? Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's why it was 2003 that they released those albums. So, that is how that all comes together, because I think we can all kind of agree that Final Fantasy X-2 is very much a sensory experience in a way that like none of the other Final Fantasies are. So I feel like the music, and we haven't even talked about the composers for this game yet, is
we haven't even talked about the smell-o-vision that they released so that you could play this game and smell.
All five senses.
I just saw Gact is on the Avex Tracks label.
Oh,
really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It ties it into another sequel game that they made called Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus.
Mm-hmm. So the singer of Sweetbox, Jade Villalon, and Kumiko Koda are the voices of Yuna in the singing.
Oh, okay, nice. So I'm guessing there's also I'm only familiar with the English dub of Real Emotion. I'm assuming there's also a Japanese version.
Yeah, the Japanese version actually has the
I like
Japanese
the
lyrics
Kumiko
on it.
version because she has a lower register, so it has a little bit more kind of
I need to
mature
listen to
energy.
that. I'm disappointed that I didn't. Also, as
I did listen to Kumiko Koda's first two albums. They're all right. They're pretty good.
Nice.
So, again, no shade against Sweetbox. Like, they did their thing. It's cool. But, like, I prefer the Kumiko Koda music, personally.
It's funny that in my like prep for like this episode, I really wanted to kind of try and get into the mindset of just like, because like honestly, this is a strange game in a lot of ways, and I was trying to get into the mindset of the development team of like there's a stark tonal shift from Final Fantasy X into Final Fantasy X-2 that is apparent immediately. which is great because then it's like, it kind of sets the stage for like what to expect in this game. And I was kind of looking around at just the popular J-pop bands at the time and was trying to kind of get an idea. And I did this too late to be like, oh, let me kind of listen to some of these albums and listen to it and see how it kind of can influence, because I think the development team of 10-2 was very much like they wanted to keep it more lighthearted than the first one, understandably so. And they were very inspired by kind of, magical girl animes like Sailor Moon, for example. That's an obvious one. And
they've also said like Charlie's Angels and like Tomb Raider as being inspirations.
Yeah, exactly. Which was, I think 2000 is when the Charlie's Angels with, it was Lucy Liu, right?
Yes.
Cameron Diaz, I think. And
a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, so like at this time, a bunch of, the turn of a new millennium, the turn of a new millennium, which actually I can tie that into something as well, where I think it might have been one of the artists that you were just talking about was like nominated for a best vocal performance in a game that year, and the runner-up of that was Jada Pinkett Smith for her portrayal of Naomi in Enter the Matrix. At this time, if this game seems weird to you, if you're coming to this game with like no real knowledge other than it's a Final Fantasy game, like the time that this was coming out was fucking nuts. Like the Matrix had just kind of changed everything in the world. Everything was, also like not in a joking way, but this is also like a kind of post 9/11 thing where they might have been like, well, we shouldn't necessarily do a really dour kind of like downer of a story that has lighthearted moments, but like the overall story, like in Final Fantasy X, is very somber and very sad. There's enough sadness in the world.
I love looking at the box office to see kind of like culturally where we are when this game comes out in the US. We got Elf had just come out.
Damn shit, that's from the same year. That's so strange.
Matrix Revolutions, Love Actually, Scary Movie 3.
A lot of Christmas movies. Good Christmas year.
School of Rock, that was a good one. Seabiscuit, wow.
We're
in a post-Spider-Man world.
I was gonna say Spider-Man 2. Yeah,
post-Spider-Man world. Post-Seabiscuit. Are we in a pre-Hidalgo world though? That's the big question. But another the reason that I brought this up is as I was looking at just like some of the cursory glance. I pronounce that.
You know what's also weird? Is in May a movie called X2 had come out the same year.
Really?
I was going to make an X2 X-Men United joke as well, but we'll let that.
It's like
one
they made
slide
a game
already.
based on the movie. Hell yeah!
I saw an interesting thing from around 2000 to 2003 in J-pop charts of a a name that I recognized, and that was Utada. I think they got their start in 1998, and they really kind of started like hitting the charts and really becoming a cultural, like having a lot of pop culture relevance in Japan in like around 2000. So that kind of also ties into this is around the time when Kingdom Hearts is being developed, also by Square, and the best song on that entire franchise. I mean, Dearly Beloved's also a really good song, but just any Utada song that's on Kingdom Hearts.
We can re-legislate the entire VG draft thing where you can say that
yeah. Simple and Clean's great, Sanctuary's great, Utada's great. They're an icon.
Walk away. Don't even start. I'm gonna start singing it. You start singing it, I'm gonna start singing it. There's actually like so I did read a lot about how they were going for like that lighter tone, right? Like they were like wanting something a little more silly. But I will say I have there's something about like reading interviews from like 20 plus years ago or further back that's kind of magical in a way that you can like connect with somebody who like no longer exists as that person anymore. You know what I mean? And I feel like through time and space, I have like connected with Kazushige Nokia, the scenario writer for 10-2, who wrote the scenario but was a little salty about it because in his interviews he's like, no, I didn't want it to be happy. 10 is like sad and it should be sad because it ruins 10. And I was like, I love it. I love that he wrote the game and was like, no, it should be sad.
that's a lot of the critical analysis. I think talked about that as well. Where I was actually surprised to read that it was very like widely positive, the critical reviews of it, because it is such a stark difference from it. And that's not me saying like I thought this game fucking sucks and stuff. Like I haven't played that much of it yet for this season, and I've never played it before. So, but it was a kind of a thing where like as soon as it started up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just check any kind of like preconceived notions I had at the door and just accept this game on its terms and enjoy it as like a fun romp in the kind of way where you can watch like a really like sad anime or something and like be really down about it and stuff and be like, man, I wish they would just like release like a manga or something that's just a nice little slice of life of all these characters, not
thing of them,
like not being in these really fucked up and terrible situations where they're all dying and sad and very depressed and just like dealing with regular shit. And it's like, I'm down for that. Like Yuna was my favorite character in Final Fantasy X, I think. And I am excited that she's getting this like nice little, this little vacation kind of thing afterwards of just doing her own thing. I think that's also, I saw mention that the reason that Lulu is not a main character in this game, and it's I think the first time in a Final Fantasy series where there's only 3 playable characters, and it's all 3 females, which is also very cool. But it's not the obvious choice of Yuna, Riku, and Lulu. It's Lulu instead is doing her own thing, which we'll get into, and there's Pain, who is this new character. And I think the reason that was mentioned from the developers about that is that Lulu always kind of had the big older sister energy to Yuna that was like kind of like the guiding force, so they wanted to kind of have her go on her own journey of discovering herself and finding her place in this world that she had her whole life dedicated to something in the last game that ended up, being completely different when she finally got to it. So
I think what I heard is that like if Lulu was here, nothing would ever get done because she would like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
To give a little spoiler too for the way that this entire season is going to go, at least from my perspective, Pain good.
Yeah,
Pain
she seems
good.
great. I'm immediately endeared. She, is the most Squall looking of any of the protagonists that we've covered so far.
Automatic plus,
I believe she has a gunblade of some sort.
Every attack is a back attack.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
just the disrespect in her stance, incredible. Oh my god.
Yeah. So what Alex is referencing there is when you're in a battle, she kind of breaks Final Fantasy conventions because usually if your back is to an opponent and they attack you, you take extra damage. And she just the entire time is standing with her head looking over her shoulder with her back towards the enemies, which I thought was really cool.
It's so good.
Very, very edgy, very tsundere, and I am very excited to learn more about this character.
So there's a couple of things, other things about the development that I like to talk about too. One of them, speaking of the music, right? When I started looking up Real Emotion in 1,000 Words, I got 3 different answers for who wrote that song. Like I kept going through and be like, who wrote this song? Because
like, who is the producer?
Yeah, one says Crosby, one says Stills, one says Nash.
I eventually did find the actual composer, Kazuhiro Hara, who I didn't see has any other credits on Final Fantasy games, but it was definitely mixed and arranged in various times by the game's actual composers. So this game has 2 composers, right? Like, and they work together super well. One of them's very like kind of classical, and the other, I don't want to say classical, probably like jazz actually, and the other one electronic, and that is Noriko Matsueda and Takahiro Eguchi. Interesting thing about Noriko Matsueda, I wanted to like find out more about her, and so I looked her up online for her credits. And there is a couple pretty good soundtracks. She worked on Racing Lagoon and The Bouncer. Like, has some like good stuff.
The Bouncer, another Square title.
Yeah.
Right?
And then after this, nothing.
She did one song for Chrono Trigger too, it looks like.
I wanted to point that out.
Holy shit.
But after this, she didn't do like anything. Like or that I can find. I couldn't find her in like a larger orchestra or anything like that. So like maybe we can look that up later and see if she did anything else. Because I would be interested in being like, did she continue her musical career? She's really good. But yes, she wrote one song for Chrono Trigger, and the crazy thing is it's like the best one. What? She wrote the boss theme. It's the boss theme.
Yo, hell yeah. That is nuts because that to me always kind of read as an uematsu track.
The
right?
beginning, especially, right? With like
yeah,
the diminished.
it's very proggy. I do kind of
maybe he arranged it for the game and she composed it or something like that. But I don't know.
Who knows? But I mean that's such a good track. That's amazing. I didn't realize that.
It's like one of the best tracks on the thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
I want to talk about the soundtrack a little bit. I haven't listened to too much of it. I do know that there was mixed reception to it, and basically it was because you're filling the shoes of Uematsu, which I don't think is entirely fair of the reviewers at the time. Like one of the RPG Gamer apparently that's not like a cool YouTube didn't really exist then. That wasn't like the Mr. Beast of the day. That was a gaming magazine. It suggested that the absence of Uematsu proves deafening, which I don't think is really fair because I know he was a part of the Final Fantasy X, but
he wrote all the main themes, I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't his soundtrack, so I think it doesn't seem all that fair.
I think it said this is the first one that he didn't contribute any tracks
anything
to.
Which is I feel like that's why it got extra scrutiny where in a vacuum would people be as that harsh on it? Maybe especially because it was a very J-pop style, which I think even at the time in video games connotation of Western audiences looking at Japanese games kind of had a different thing. We had talked about this before on the podcast. When we heard that, we were like, oh, it's a Japanese game, so it's good. But the industry at large, especially some of the critics at the time, did not share that sentiment at all and would usually just use Japanese as a pejorative when talking about video games. So if it's oh well, I'm used to all of the best video game music ever written, and now it's kind of this J-pop, which is very fitting for the scene and what they were going for. I think they kind of harshly judged it because of that.
Yeah, the way I because I remember playing this game at the time. This is a game that I had when it came out, and I played quite a bit of. I spent some time with it, and I remember myself not liking the soundtrack very much at first. But now in retrospect, I fucking love it. I think it's an amazing soundtrack. And I think it really has to do with after 10 games of Nobuo Uematsu, it reminds me of going to the fridge and being time to eat a nice peanut butter sandwich. And then when you put it in your mouth, it's actually, oh, that was penne marinara. And penne marinara is delicious, but I didn't expect that. And so I'm upset now because I was looking forward to a peanut butter sandwich. But but then later,
has a very different musical language than just coming from a prog and classical angle, and I can tell from when I briefly talked about the bouncer for the VG Draft podcast, I was these guys seem to have a very kind of electronica angle, where it's a very groove and sample bass, and not as much there are I don't think there are hooky bits, but I don't think there are hooks as much in a lot of this. It's all very vibey.
Yeah, I agree. Because
it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just it doesn't really seem to. It doesn't have the big ups and sweeping kind of arrangements that we're used to.
Yeah, Nobuo is clearly very into servicing the melody of a piece. Yeah, he's very into Deep Purple. He's very into servicing the melody of a piece, where these are not. Yeah, but they're good though. I can't wait to talk about the mission music. Oh my god, it's so good. Anyway,
and the victory music when the mission's over. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Synth guitar. Yeah.
I think another important thing to kind of, put us thoroughly in time and place of the, Final Fantasy X is an iconic game. Final Fantasy X-2 might not be as iconic and stuff, but to really put us in the day and age of it, this, I think, was the last, one of the last titles that Square released as Square before the merger
it was
with Square Enix.
I think it was the last one. I think
it was in Japan, it was Square, and then in the US, it was Square Enix. So it was in between March and
it was
November.
Right in between, yeah. So within the year. Another thing that I saw, a lot of this game is what gamer Americans would complain about and call reused assets, but it kind of followed the Majora's Mask discipline of being like, well, we have this engine that we built. We have this really cool world. We have this, all of the stuff that we need. We could probably bang out another one of these games in like a year and a half, which is like what they did. And the team that developed this compared to 10 was, I think, half the size, a much smaller scope, a third the size. Yeah.
Wow.
I think originally 10 was like 100 like people working on it simultaneously. Like the story took like 4 months to flesh out, like the voice acting took another 4 months and stuff, and with this they kind of just had everything they needed, so they were able to really churn this out very quickly. And I feel like that can be taken either way, like of just like, oh well, of course they didn't take as long to do it, or they didn't have as many people dedicated to it and stuff. But
there's probably people working on 11 or 12 probably at the same time. I know 12 came out in 2006.
Yeah.
Right. And then Dirge of Cerberus, like around that, maybe that same year. Even.
I think Dirge of Cerberus, if what I'm reading here is can be taken into account, I don't know the legitimacy of this.
There's a lot of stuff happening at Square.
Literally just on a Wikipedia page right now, so grain of salt or whatever. But I think with the success of this game, it kind of incentivized Square Enix, I guess, to start doing the sequel treatment to other games, which is then they followed it up with Dirge of Cerberus. So I don't think Dirge of Cerberus was in development at the same time. I think this was kind of like the test one that they did. And I think the reason behind why they wanted to actually make this game was that they saw the reception that they got to releasing The Eternal Calm. People were really excited about it. They really wanted to know what Yuna was up to afterwards. There was interesting things going on in that. Like we get the reveal that Waka and
I think we touched on it, like maybe because like it feels like they're setting up something, but I'm not sure they were talking about a whole game. Maybe they're talking about like a review.
I was going to say, if you would like to hear about the Eternal Calm, please check out the last episode of our Final Fantasy X season about the Eternal Calm. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like this is definitely setting up something. This isn't just like this is not a bottle episode. Like it feels like they're setting up like, oh, maybe we'll do a manga, maybe we'll do a novel, because those are very popular.
Exactly, yeah. Probably planning some sort of tie-in, but also could very well have been just like, oh well, the end of 10 is really fucking sad. Maybe we should do something. Although I guess the whole thing with like Titus being in the video in the Eternal Calm really is gonna make
Titus?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is gonna make a lot of people really want more.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 12 was being developed at this point, and they started development in 2001, so they probably had like a bunch of people busy with that, getting their hands dirty. So
let's see here. I'm looking through my notes.
They were starting to really crank up all these like kind of different spin-off things.
It's also interesting. It's also
Advent
interesting
Children
to think
came
of,
out like before Dirge of Cerberus as well, so that stuff was about to come out.
Yeah, so they had new tech to implement as well, and but it's very very interesting to just think of this as like a historical like thing, because all of this is going on. It's the first time a Final Fantasy game has ever made a direct sequel. Obviously there was Final Fantasy 2, which Curtis, I think, aptly said was really the first Final Fantasy, despite all its flaws and all of that. And if you want to hear more about that, go back and listen to the Final Fantasy 2 season that we did. But yeah, I think it's also just interesting to see how these specific developers and just Square as a company has developed over the course of these past 10, now 11 games, I guess, and kind of the philosophies that changed. Like we talked a little bit about how the jump from Final Fantasy 1 to 2 was so drastically different because they wanted to kind of not get comfortable and do the same thing over again. They wanted to kind of push it, which is a philosophy that they kind of kept throughout the series. They've done that so many countless times.
Yeah.
And also just kind of like it started out as kind of a last resort, sort of like Sakaguchi was like, I'm out. If this isn't a success, I'm going to do other stuff. And then it was a huge success. And then going to things where like now, even in like the advent of, we're now in a post Final Fantasy 16 world.
Which I still haven't played. Sorry.
Yeah, same. I have it. I just haven't had the time to play it. But I mean, a lot of people haven't played it because they bafflingly made it an exclusive on a console that not a whole lot of people have access to, and a timed exclusive as well. So it's not even going to be a system mover. But and then they blame the apparently I think Square was like, oh, this was a kind of a failure and stuff. And it's like, you kind of set yourself up for failure with the way you release this game, which I think will do really well.
There's a housing crisis for these games.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting to kind of see how they started as, kind of like plucky kids who were just kind of doing something with like a dream and trying to make it work and getting it done, to now just being like very business minded and being like, well, can we do a sequel and stuff? And then seeing where Square Enix in recent years has gone with their business model and catch a lot of flack.
Live service.
I can't wait for the NFT tie-in that happens inside of this
exactly.
game. Yeah.
I'll finally feel like a big man once I get my Lightning NFT.
I can't wait to have a Bored Ape that looks like Waka.
Anyway.
So a couple other things I wanted to say about the production of this game as well. I'll bring this back up when we get there, but just keep this in your pocket for several episodes.
I just want to say that keep it in your pocket, Curtis moment. I'm here for it.
I love doing it. I love doing it. So 30 episodes from now, I'm going to bring this back up. How both producers of the game said that Sphere Break is better and cooler than Blitzball. So just remember that for later when we get to Sphere Break. They were both like, no, this is definitely the mini game right here. But speaking of the producers, we have Yoshinori Kitase, returning champion, if you will, and Motomu Toriyama. This game is so I have a thesis statement. I'm going to bring out my thesis statement right here. I was debating about this, but the more I can,
give us a thesis.
The more I think about this, the more that I think that I'm right about this. Okay, I think my statement for Final Fantasy.
The more you think about it, the bigger your brain gets as well.
Yeah, and to where it becomes a chair that I'm sitting on. I'm sitting on a throne made of my own brain. I think that Final Fantasy X-2 is the video game equivalent of jazz fusion in the way that it is.
A tall statement.
It's a tall statement, but I mean it in the way
Cassiopeia of games.
It is the
cooler as days go by.
Yeah.
It's the Cassiopeia versus T-Square DVD of video games.
What a good DVD, baby!
It's amazing. Fight Man? Are you kidding me? Anyway, that's so good. But yeah, because it is the JRPG, right? Like we have the return of the ATB system with this. It goes back to a lot of classic
ATB's back in a big way.
ATB's back in a big way. It brings a lot of the conventions back that 10 broke from, but enhances them really well. I think they're actually very, very good. But it combines itself with everything. Like every kind of video game, every kind of idea has some representation inside of this game. Like the amount of mini games is staggering. The amount of quests in this is staggering. It's ridiculous, and they all play and feel very different. So it's not like a in a more modern like a Skyrim type game, right? There are obviously hundreds of quests, but they all kind of come down to the same thing. Go to a place, fight some guys, get a thing, do a couple dialogues, come back. Final Fantasy X-2 is not that way. Everything you do is different. Sometimes you are playing a weird runner where you also have to score points by shooting enemies. Sometimes you're doing platforming. It's sometimes you're doing
There's a service.
Yeah, sometimes you're doing
becomes
math
Crash
puzzles.
Bandicoot where you're running away from a boulder and
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's
towards the camera. Oh my god.
There's a DDR based mini game later in the game.
Oh, and it's based.
And actually, that minigame specifically sucks ass, but you can't win them all.
So it's cringe. It is not.
It's cringe. It's cringe.
Shit.
When we get to the Calm Lands, let me tell you about cringe minigames.
Listen, Curtis, we're about to start this game. I'm still excited to play it. Do not ever say the words Calm Lands and minigame in the same sentence if you want me to actually play this fucking game.
Well, don't worry.
We know how I got with the Chocobo game.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we'll see. We'll see which lightning dodging is harder, 10 or 10-2.
Oh no.
Well, I guess it's not dodging.
Actually, I didn't mind the lightning dodging. I found that I'm a sicko who was into it.
I'm the only one who can't do it in the world. But
I kept getting to points on my stream where I like was out of things to do or I was tired of like dying in speedruns or something. I'm like, fuck it, guys, we're gonna try the lightning dodges now. And I would do that instead for like 20 minutes and fuck it up and be like, damn,
or subjecting your fiance to on a co-stream.
A co-stream one night, yeah, she was not happy. Understandably so.
but this game is like a very much like a potpourri of ideas, right? It is a chili where you throw everything from the fridge in at once.
Nice. That's the perfect way to make chili.
It's a perfect way to make a video game, apparently. But that's kind of like my idea for the season is that this is the game that is a little bit of every game. Like it is the base. It is like a Jazz Fusion is like jazz and other things. This is JRPG and other things. So they threw everything at the wall with this. And that includes not just like the mechanics, but the tone and the script and everything about it, the music, everything. There are so many ideas.
It's heavier, it's funnier, it's sadder, it's hornier, it's all these things.
It's kind of it's just Final Fantasy-er, you know what I mean? Like it's all of that and more kind of thing. And I think sometimes to its detriment, but often to its benefit. So that's kind of my idea, and I think my kind of underpinning statement for the rest of the season is just to see the ways in which like Final Fantasy can touch everything and like can be everything everywhere all the time. Not always good, but it can. And I'm very excited to go through it with that. So I think it's going to be a good time.
Into the final verse.
Into the final final thing all at fantasy.
Into the final verse. I think it's interesting as I mean, again, this has just been the case since, you know, the first game. They were kind of pushing things and trying to do things differently and stuff. And I guess it's kind of like an inversion of that in some ways, but also very like still to the core of their philosophy of being like, okay, well, we can be safe. We can just do the same battle system or whatever, or we can completely switch it up to something that we've done before, but in a different way. Or we can kind of just do something that is a completely different style of game that we haven't done before and throw it in as a mini game, like we've always done mini games, and we can kind of just do that more and get more into it. And I think that ultimately kind of allowed them as developers to be open to not just like, no, it has to be that to be a Final Fantasy game, it has to be this, which leads to things like the paradigm system or the upgrade system in Final Fantasy 13, where they're like taking inspiration from other games and doing it in their own way and putting it in, it's up to whoever's playing it to think if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I think ultimately that's a good thing. Like at first I didn't really love the upgrade system in Final Fantasy 13, but I came around on it and I immediately loved the battle system. And while I'm going to miss the battle system of Final Fantasy X because somehow I played like 130 hours of that game or something, most of it in the battle engine, and somehow I didn't get enough of it and I would like more of it. But this, in my limited time with this battle system, I've really, really been enjoying it, and it feels like a precursor to the paradigm system in Final Fantasy 13, which I absolutely adore.
I would like to say right now, and you can write this down, bookmark this, listeners. Don't let me forget that I said it, because I stand by it.
And if you're wondering how to bookmark something in an audio podcast, that is a good question. We don't know how to bookmark that.
Shut up, Carl. But also, listen to this. Final Fantasy X-2 has the best battle system in the entire series.
Hell yeah, I am excited for it.
There you go.
I can see the threads when I like back in the 13th season when I saw they basically used this as like a blueprint for like the paradigm system.
It's really fun to go back and play older games and see the DNA of newer games in an infant form. It's like when I played Shadow Tower on PlayStation 1. I mean, I played it on my Vita, but playing it and being like, oh, there's a lot of this game is really janky and very weird, but there's a lot of DNA that would be mutate and become Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and I fucking love that.
Yeah. I like that, like, well, okay, this is not the time and place for that, but real quick, I like that, like, games like Kingsfield are kind of coming back right now and having, like, a resurgence of popularity.
It's a good time for games.
Great year for games. Well, maybe not, but this year anyway.
Well, not with all of the layoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, actually, maybe it's a bad year for games.
Maybe never been worse, but the games themselves.
Exactly. Yes, it's a great year for
And
creativity.
in the end, isn't that what really matters? Not the plight of the working developers, but that the game is cool and good.
Paid.
Yeah, let me check the Wikipedia page. How many people got immediately laid off after they made a huge profit off of Final Fantasy X-2? Let me see. No, I don't think that happened at this point in the game.
But it's coming any day. The Final Fantasy X-2 layoff is getting ready to happen.
Curtis, does your DeLorean still have gas in it? We got to go back and change some shit so that stops happening.
Yeah. So I only have like one more note about the development. And that is about the character designs, right? So there's obviously a lot of reused characters because it's the same story, it's just continuation. Designed by Tetsuya Nomura. The new characters like Pain were also designed by Tetsuya Nomura, but the costumes for all the jobs were not. So they actually brought somebody else in to do those. And I think out of all the interviews that I read, his interview was my favorite. Because this man, not like me at all, very different from me, but I love him already. In his interview about drawing all the costumes, because this game is kind of like a Final Fantasy 5 or 3 where it's like kind of job based. You have things called dress spheres in this, which are like the Final Fantasy jobs. You can switch everybody's class around willy-nilly, like on the fly, right? And every job has a different outfit with them, and they're all like themed, and each character has a different iteration of that outfit. So there are a ton of different outfits and costumes for these characters, right?
I think there's like 150 or so.
That's
like,
probably about right.
Can you imagine if fucking DLC existed when this shit came out?
I mean, they kind of did for the the international version.
Yeah, they added a festivalist, and
which is a contest. Like kids actually like submitted.
Yes.
See, that's really fucking cool. Imagine if like microtransactions.
One of them was
like,
just Yuna. What if Yuna was a train?
I love the Yuna train one. It's so good. Okay, look. Yeah, listeners, like we were saying, there is the extra jobs for the international version was a contest. People submitted their responses, submitted drawings and designs. Somebody just submitted What If Yuna Was a Train, and it won like a comedy prize from Square. And you should look up What If Yuna Was a Train because it's incredible. It's so good.
Someone joked that she's extremely like weak to suplexes.
But this guy, Tetsu Tsukamoto, I'd like to read that slowly. He is really into drawing monsters. He is really into drawing like creatures and dark stuff and castles and armor and all that stuff. And so he says in his interview, he's like, yeah, I thought it was very weird that they wanted me to design characters and were like, yo, make them cute. And he was like, cute? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know how to do that. And so he actually says he had a really hard time designing cute characters and like making fun or like silly outfits or whatever. And he was like, yeah, the only one I really enjoyed doing was the Dark Knight because it was like a bunch of armor and swords. And I was like, what a hero, what a cool guy. Dude just wants to draw monsters. Let this man draw monsters.
Yeah, let him draw monsters. Oh, this is a rough translation, but I think he said, up until now, I've been in charge of monster designs, but this time I'm going in a completely different direction. So I blushed and look at fashion magazines like Vogue and Anan for reference. I even went shopping.
That's sick.
If I let go, I would end up wanting to add scales and spikes like I did designing the monsters.
Yes! Yes! I love it. I love it. I love this guy's like, oh, everything should have scales. Like, everything should have armor, like spikes. That's so good. Yeah. What a kid.
It's so interesting, too, because, I mean, Japanese street fashion is fascinating. It's I have friends who are really into it. My fiance is very into Japanese fashion, particularly like Harajuku style of just street fashion and kind of subculture stuff like Fairy K or like Lolita style and stuff. And it's all fascinating. We watch like a lot of YouTube videos and stuff about it, and it's a really cool thing. I am not a fashionable man. I have like some band t-shirts. Like 90% of the time, you're gonna see me wearing like black jeans and a Zaku shirt. Like like it. That's like kind of just my look, but I have a real deep appreciation for that. And the style at the time was like very, very interesting. And
Well, you're wearing a lot of Sanrio to the graveyard when I saw you.
it's true. I have gotten way more
MF wears
into
Sanrio to the graveyard. What a king. Carl, you're the
I think
best.
it might have been my Kuromi track jacket that my fiance got me. Which
God,
is
it's fucking all.
Yeah, both of you were all Kuromi'd up.
That's so
yeah.
thematically appropriate too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there was a magazine of Japanese fashion called Fruits, and I believe the first issue was in '97, and there's a collection of it that I recently got for my fiance, and it's just really cool street fashions and a photographer going around and taking pictures of them and kind of interviewing them and talking about all of that. So that's an interesting, if you're looking for something to do, an interesting kind of rabbit hole to go down and look more into, because it's all very fascinating, very cool, and there's a lot of cool fashion shops in Japan. It's very much a part of the culture. So I like to think this Monster Man is just like looking at like the pictures of cool street fashion, being like, how the fuck do I make a Marlboro look like this kawaii-ass?
Well, you know what? I think man, it's so hard to say because like I know I keep couching all of my praise for this game in like little asterisks and being like, oh, but actually sometimes it's bad. But there are so many things about this game that are like so good, and like the designs of the costumes are just mwah, chef kiss, like knocked it out of the park. Love them all.
I think I saw a review of this that says that despite like its downfalls, it's way better as like a sum of its parts than it's not necessarily like its individual parts are the best, but overall it like greatly outshines any of the flaws that it has.
Like fusion, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh baby. But
oh yeah, another thing involving this game is there was an idea maybe to make it two separate games, a Yuna game and a Riku game.
I didn't read that, really.
Where there was like, it was going to be kind of like a Pokemon or like Oracle of Ages Seasons thing, where they were kind of two halves of the same story.
Damn, I'd play the Riku game.
Yeah, same.
Which would have been really interesting. There was also before that, like they were deciding like, what would be more interesting if we did like a sequel or a prequel with Braska, and like those, I think there were some talks about doing Braska's journey as a game, which I could also see being a interesting playing as Jack and kind of the parallels that you can go through and kind
maybe
of
when we finally get Final Fantasy X remake and the Final Fantasy VII remake engine, they'll give us the Braska DLC. I know I was just complaining about DLC in games and stuff, but I would actually play a Braska DLC.
Well, that's all I have for pre-game notes.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. And if not, I'm sure I'll remember eventually and bring it up as a non sequitur at some point over the course of the season.
Well, gosh dang, would you all like to start playing Final Fantasy X too?
Would I?
Would I? So good. All right, well,
would you guys like to take a break in the
I would like to have I would like to have a temporary calm before we come back.
There we go.
Actually start
we already had our eternal calm, which was between the season about Final Fantasy II and now the season of Final Fantasy X too.
Just a little pre-calm.
A little pre-calm. All right, that's it. I'm leaving. So, you take the disc out of the case, Final Fantasy X-2. You press the little ejector slot on your fat PS2 because you didn't have one of the thin PS2s till
when did
later.
The thin one come out?
I don't know. You look that up while I tell
had
this
the thin one.
engaging story.
2004, so we still had the fat one.
Yeah, it was the fat one. So
I never had one of
the
those.
black disc tray slides out of the device. You place the disc for Final Fantasy X-2 into the device, and instead of hitting the eject button, you're a moron and you force it back in using your finger.
Oh yeah, that is poor design. Why
I think it would,
does non-eject?
Yeah, eject
does anti-eject?
reverse.
Boy, I hope somebody got fired for that. No, here's the real fucked up one. You're playing a Nintendo GameCube, perhaps an Animal Crossing.
You put your Final
and
Fantasy
you're just putting your grubby little fingers inside that fucking disc tray and ripping it out like a goddamn monster. All along, there's a little silver, what's the I guess it was holographic, right? And it's not lenticular. It's like holographic. It says press. And you've never pressed that button. But if you had pressed the button, then you wouldn't have damaged your precious Super Mario Sunshine. Because it just pops that bad boy right out.
Super Mario Sunshine, another game that I feel like has gotten
Aged
better with
poorly.
age. What? It's good.
Final Fantasy X-2 of Mario games.
Sunshine's
They gave
good.
Mario a gun.
100, much like 10-2, Sunshine is good, but 100%ing it is kind of fucking bullshit.
Oh, we're going to talk about 100%ing. So
We're gonna have to because
oh yeah. So
you put your thing in, you get the whoop when the
press
PlayStation 2 does. the
Yes,
thing.
I love that. Well, you hear it, but you don't see it because you don't have your TV set on the right channel. Because
you
this
have
is
the
back in
disc
the day
tray
when you
still
had to have it.
open, and you don't realize that the cool kind of cyberpunky like Windows
The cubes.
Media Player like screensaver type of thing are representations of your memory card.
What?
And how tall,
Really?
yeah, however tall they are is how many bytes you have on there.
No way.
Psycho
like
Mantis
blocks.
is just
Didn't know
running
that.
around in there rooting through all your shit.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I always
no, that's
imagined that those were like skyscrapers in a city and that I could live there one day. But
yeah. Oh, to live in the city that exists in the PlayStation memory card.
that's right. So anyway, you start the game, and interestingly, the first thing that pops up is a picture, like a negative image of a seagull, and it says the Final Fantasy X-2 project. Was it 2001 to 2004? It says below it.
Yeah.
It's got
They
a-
did this with 10 as well, where they like talk about like the basically like almost like an in memoriam to the developers.
Yeah. that's-
So I
yeah.
guess this is also a good time to bring up which version are you guys playing, and how are you playing it?
So, I have actually not started my playthrough, but I've begun. I've done the intro of this
thinking
game.
about starting the
I know.
playthrough.
I've played the beginning of this game, God, probably 50 fucking times. Like, it
Nice.
is like permanently etched into my memory. But after this, I will be playing on the Nintendo Switch solely because of how handy screenshots are on it.
Yep. hmm
Is almost unplayable on the Steam Deck. It just crashes like every time. Yeah, it's like
Is that true?
extremely unstable.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
Apparently, there's
sucks.
some kind of thing you can do to make it run better. I don't know. I'm not going to try. So what I'm doing is a much more stable way of playing the game. I have one of the launch PS3s that is technically my fiance's, but it also has a PS2 built into it because that's how
Hey,
they
there we
cleverly marketed it as backwards compatible while getting rid of dead stock of PS2 Slim boards. And I've been streaming it. And when I say I've been streaming it, I mean several, like a week or two
Streamed
ago.
it twice.
I tried to stream it twice, but if you're not familiar with trying to stream on a PS3, they have copyright protection, like just hard baked into the console. So the only way that you can actually stream it with HDMI is to use an HDMI splitter. And I ran into some trouble with this when I was streaming Final Fantasy 13 and streaming Dirge of Cerberus, where sometimes the tech doesn't agree with it. And the second day that I went to go and stream some more of it, I was going to kind of just try and burn through a lot of the game all at once. It just completely shit out on me, so I started playing Bloodborne instead for the past like week. But I'm going to try and get that going again if I can't. I'm also thinking about being a sicko again and playing the game twice this season, and also playing it on Switch because I've already, if you could believe it, locked myself out of the good ending because I already did something that prevents me from getting 100%.
Yep. So speaking of, so as the intro goes on, we hear an incredible theme, right? Eternity, Memories of Light Waves. What maybe my favorite intro screen music for any Final Fantasy game. It's an all-timer.
It's really good. This one shows up on a lot of, like, if you go to like YouTube, like Final Fantasy songs to relax to or something, this will be on a lot of those. So you might not recognize it if you haven't played this game, but like I heard this song and I was like, oh, I already am intimately familiar with the song because I love it because I've heard it so many times.
Yeah, real good song. But you have the option start a new game or load game. And if you do go to load game, say you have another one on there, you might notice that this game has completion percentage.
Oh,
Boy.
You know,
So
that's always a good thing in a game.
Now, I am the kind of sicko who loves a completion percentage because I'm like, ooh, now I know that I've done everything or not. But some games have some things that are missable. This game has 80% of the game that is missable.
This game has most things are missable. Curtis, has
This game is missable.
Has the word arbitrary ever meant anything to you?
Oh my god!
Because
buddy.
I've only played this game for about an hour and a half, and a couple of the things that I was guided to do just seem pretty fucking arbitrary.
Yeah, well, speaking of guide, in 2004, Pearson, what are they called? Pearson Education published a book written by Dan, was it Bierlew? I got his name right here. Dan Bierlew with Brady Games, a thick-ass 100% guide for Final Fantasy X-2, my original copy of which is in my hands. It's all the pages are super ratty and gnarled up, and it's real gross. I apparently have taken the poster out of the back, or whatever it was there. I don't know what that was.
Damn, there goes the collector's value.
It's
Idiot.
gone. I know. I feel like a fool. However,
How are you going to 100% it without the last page?
this will not get. Well, here's the thing. This will not get you 100%.
Oh my
There is
God.
something missing in it. I
Yeah,
know.
the fucking
I know.
poster, dingus.
Yeah, the information for the one thing you missed is gone
I
because
left you all the signs.
yeah. Mr. Podcast listener, we gave you all the clues. Still don't have 100% of Final Fantasy X-2. Okay, but the thing about Final Fantasy X-2 is everything gives you percentage. Every voice acted line gives you percentage.
Oh my gosh.
So if there is a character who you can talk to and then talk to again, and they just go like, isn't this a conundrum? That little thing that they say is like a part of a percentage point. If you don't talk to them to get that little voice line, you miss 100% because when you leave and come back, they don't say it.
They
like,
fucking
it's so
did
rough.
it. The Wild Lads did it. They took the Dark Souls methodology of making you talk to an NPC until they start repeating themselves, and they tied it to the good ending.
Oh, I also have my manual as well for the game in here. So
Let me
Isn't
see if
there,
I
like-
even have that as well.
Doesn't Machen just go off the fucking like rails in this game too? So you just like listen to him.
man, when I was streaming this game relatively recently, not for the podcast, just for fun, just for the thrill. And when Machen started talking, I just played like, ooh, Carl has the manual as well.
Goddamn
But
right. Dude,
it's like
the first picture of it is a very detailed illustration of LeBlanc, a character
we're
that
going to talk about LeBlanc,
Oh,
a queen.
Me, Elsa.
Me, Alza. Oh, wooga. Imagine me smacking the table and howling.
pretend I'm holding my copies of the Ultimate and the Ultimate Omega, which I have.
You know what? Much like when we did
The
Final
back of the
Fantasy
menu
2.
has a registration card of Final Fantasy.
I was
X
gonna
too.
say, yeah.
we gotta register. Do we know anyone who works at Square? I hope not. Because
Yeah, I
they
mean, if
probably
we
hate
send
us.
this back,
I know someone who knows someone.
It's true. Yeah, can we have you have them give this to them so they can slide it
yeah.
into?
According to the registration card in the back, fill out this card and return it to be entered in our monthly drawing. You could win a cool game.
Hell yeah!
What do
I
you
wanna win
think
a
the cool
cool
game
game.
would be?
Didn't like X2? Don't worry, you can win a cool game.
We got the coolest game around. It's a new one coming out soon. It's called Kingdom Hearts. Get excited about it.
Well, at the bottom, check this box if you do not wish to be contacted by Square Enix. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill that out right now.
I guess, is that a loophole to avoid any cease and desists? From them?
Yeah, you can't cease and desist me. I marked the box that says "Do not contact me."
Yo, there's also an ad in the back for Star Ocean and, more importantly, Final Fantasy 11 online. That's sick.
You know what? Interestingly, in the manual for the game, the very last page is an ad for the Brady Games guide.
Yeah,
That will
the
not
one that
get you
will not get you
100%.
100%. Do not
Yeah,
buy it.
fucked
Do
up.
not trust Brady. This shit would not fly if this guide was given to Prima. Prima
This
would
is gonna
ensure
be
that
this is going to be the longest season we have ever done because you cannot go through 2 seconds of this game without the wildest shit of all time happening. We haven't even started the fucking game, and there's already
We've only
so
heard
much
the
shit.
beautiful menu music that's making me tear up, especially when I read the top YouTube comment on here from 8 years ago from Anime Fan 2007 BG that says, "This song was my wedding march, less than 3." So shout outs to you. That's
actually kinda
literally making me tear up. That's very cute.
I thought it was gonna be like something crazy. I thought you were gonna like share somebody's like gamer content or whatever, and I was gonna be like,
Oh no,
"Ugh."
there's
But that was actually quite
let me
sweet.
scroll down a little.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
back to you.
it doesn't take long. Anyway, there's the act. You know what is good about the guide though? It does have pictures of all the outfits for the jobs, which is pretty cool. But
But does it tell you how to do the dance that we're about to talk about?
Yo, hell yeah.
a thing I didn't say about the dance. Okay, well, no, we'll get there when we get to the dance. I'll say it then. Okay. So, you press new game instead of load game because actually you haven't started a game yet. You don't have anything on that
You don't
memory
have
card.
any load.
You don't have anything to load. So when you turn your PS2 on, those memory blocks are huge. There's nothing on that memory card. You were starting completely fresh. You got a new one from EB Games. Your mom bought it for you. She didn't want to, but you told her it's not like Mario. You have to have a memory card. You can't just start from the beginning every time. She didn't get it, but she relents and buys you a memory card. So we're starting the game.
There's a memory card slot in the case right above the disc.
I forgot that those had that. I forgot that the PS2 cases
These
had
had
memory
stickers
card
too
slots.
that you could put on them, at least on GameCube.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, Nintendo Power shipped a bunch of those.
I also
Anyway,
want to quickly say that 1 year ago, at It's Saul Goodman, with a picture of Bob Odenkirk as the profile picture, said, "Man, they really kept Nobuo's spirit and style alive in this track," which makes it sound like a eulogy.
Yeah, R.I.P. to my guy.
Still alive and well at the time of recording this.
Yeah.
This one goes out to you, Nobi.
But we hit new game, and it is the first thing we see is a bright blue sky, right? So, which I feel like is it kind of does set the tone pretty well for the difference between Final Fantasy X-2 and 10, where the first thing we see in 10 is a bunch of really depressed people
Everyone's
sitting
very
around.
sad.
Everyone's
somber.
very sad.
Beautiful scenery, but very, very sad.
She gave like this huge speech at the end, basically like addressing the nation, I guess, of Spira.
Yeah.
We will prevail. And now
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish.
and now
without a
it's
fight.
fucking halftime at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like a halftime show at the fucking Luka Blitzball Stadium. Because
How
the
do you
camera.
guys feel about cool ass looking guitars? 'Cause
Oh my goodness! So the camera tilts down. We see the Luka Blitzball Stadium, right? And we see inside. There is a stadium full of people, right? And the ceiling of the stadium like closes up to so no light is coming into it.
they
Kind
all
of like a
get
football
drowned
stadium
because it fills up with the blitzball water, and none of them are blitzball
and then
players.
all the people
so.
drown. Yeah. But so there's a bunch of people cheering. There is a like hole in the center of the stadium, right? That everybody is facing toward, so we like assume something's going to come out of that.
It's the fucking Vegas Sphere that U2 played, and everyone's like, "Look how
Oh
cool
my God,
it is."
it's
I'm
the
like,
Vegas
that stage
Sphere.
looks like shit. Who cares that it looks like you're in the middle of the desert? Oh my God, come on.
You're in Vegas. You could go desert anywhere.
And then the camera shows one of the vomitoriums, one of the hallways or whatever, right? And there is a man who is passed out, right?
Probably a guard or something.
Sleeping
He's a
on
guard,
the job,
yeah.
dude.
No. He's sleeping on the job. He's me as
Man
hell,
after my own heart.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a man who's passed out.
He's getting dragged off camera.
He is
and,
dragged off camera by an unseen force, and down the hallway we see the blurry image of a woman who's like dressed in like black leather, like kind of running down the hallway, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Kind of looks back and does a little salute, little action to signal to presumably whatever is dragging this unconscious man, and then
Whatever terrible creature it could be.
we see a familiar boot and some not so familiar tassels hanging towards the boot.
That's right. Yeah, so the camera goes up, shows that it is Riku who has dragged this person away, and she speaks into her collar. She has like a lapel, like walkie-talkie, I guess, but it's like on a scarf, and she
They
like
use these in Sicario or whatever. Those little,
Yeah,
freaking net. Those little those like throat mics or whatever.
That's where Sicario got the idea for it. And she says, in my opinion, one of the most iconic lines of the franchise. Love it so much. She says into her mic,
It's the first line of the game.
First line of the game. YRP in position.
I did not.
It's showtime, girls.
It's showtime, girls.
YRP in position. It's showtime, girls.
I did not realize what that sounded like out of context, because I just was like thinking YRP. Yeah, YRP.
Why?
I thought that was the direction you were going in, and it made me laugh. But I don't think that's what you were getting at. Now I just feel silly. But
it's like
this guy are sick. YRP. It's like
waking up in the bed sweat. Oh, YRP.
It reminds me one time my older brother showed me this really fucked up comic that he found online of Bart Simpson walking in on Lisa Simpson on the toilet, and she says, "Get out, Bart. I'm pissed." Anyway, it's showtime, girls. I just ruined this season already. But Riku says that, and then she smiles.
Says YRP, I'm pissed. She says, I'm pissed. It's showtime, girls.
I don't know why, but the only thing that has really kind of aged the CG is Riku's teeth are just so fucking white.
I
She got
didn't notice,
veneers.
but
This always happens with celebrities. They get a little bit of fame, and then they get veneers.
Yeah, they're veneers.
Oh yeah, I see that. I will say
She has a different
the
outfit
CGI
as
looks
well.
super fucking good.
The CGI looks really good, and we'll probably talk about it when it actually happens, but the transition from CGI into in-game is actually really good as well.
I agree.
And I'm playing, I don't know if the PS3 does any kind of upscaling when you play it. I don't think it is, because it's just like a PS2 board as far as I know. So it's like, this looks really fucking good for a PS2 game.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The mocap has gotten better significantly.
Speaking. Well, hold on. Okay, I was going to say speaking. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah,
yes.
the show's about to start. Spotlights are in position. There's a guy flying around on a F-Zero car.
On a Willem Dafoe Green Goblin
it's
glider.
We don't know what's happening at first, right? We don't know what kind of dark fucking rituals getting ready to take place in the stadium.
There's some
and then we start
strange
seeing
technology that's spinning around and starts blasting out spotlights.
Yeah, and we're like, wait a minute, it's gonna be a concert. They're at a rock show. What is happening? This is crazy. But yeah.
All right.
I love the dude
The
flying around. The
drummer Foul C comes up.
Yeah,
there is a Foul C from 13 who is the stage.
He is
his
the
hat
stage and
is
also
the stage.
drummer. He's the rhythm section.
And he's the drummer. What? That's so sick. That's so good.
This guitar that the dude on the Green Goblin glider is playing is just impossible.
It's impossible. It has a curvy neck.
It's got a curvy
That's not how
neck.
stringed instruments work.
I can see. Oh god, this is
It's like
just
one of those MIDI guitars, I guess.
This is the Doof Warrior from fucking Mad Max Fury Road.
Yo, hell yeah.
God.
That guitar looks cool as hell, and I'm kind of surprised that Jackson didn't do a tie-in deal where you could write into, PlayStation Magazine to win it or something.
Yeah.
But this Buddha-looking drummer is there, and we pan up, and Yuna, as we saw her in 10, is there.
Yeah, wearing her 10 outfit, yeah.
Her summoner outfit.
Yeah, Riku's in a different outfit. We have a mystery woman as well. Yuna, same exact outfit.
Right.
For now. Because what can I do for you, we hear in kind of a chorus.
Yeah, like a reverby, washed out chorus.
And a cool little breakbeat kicks in.
Yep. And
she struts towards the front of the stage and does a magical girl transformation.
Mm-hmm. Like an explicitly magical girl transformation. It's really good.
Yep.
And just sends her clothes.
She says she sends her clothes. And the song Real Emotion begins. And right before it, we get a screen grab. What do you call those? Like a character screen grab where the image freezes?
The Charlie's Angel kind of thing.
Yeah, I love this kind of Y2K kind of flower power aesthetic where everything's just kind of bubbly and goofy. Spice Girls adjacent.
Yes, the image freezes on her face. The letters Yuna slide in from the side, and you just see her face just for a second. It goes away, and then she starts to sing Real Emotion, and it's fucking awesome.
Notably, not the same voice as Yuna.
But yeah, she sings fucking Real Emotion, which is a dope ass song. It's really good.
Yeah, as she's doing that, she's doing a little dance. Again, mo-capped, really good. And
So that's why
backup dancers just like phase in. I don't know if these are holograms or what, but they're also getting into it.
I like to think that they are in fact sentient.
Yeah, yeah.
When they are not dancing, they are sent to some kind of like prison realm. Like they're like in like the flying like geometric plane from Superman 2. Like they're like trapped in that until they are required.
Just
so they
eternal
live like a very
suffering that they're
life.
experiencing in this pocket dimension, and then they get phased in onto stage of a million cheering people, and they just got to be like, just dancing around.
Yeah, we're only like 30 seconds in. I'm like getting the vibes of like, okay, God is dead. It's
Yeah.
which means like now it's time to fucking party. And like Machina everywhere.
God, maybe it's time for a new fucking
Could
every
you guys
FFF
imagine
t-shirt.
the power though of if Taylor Swift like one-upped the fact that she's
Killed
dating
God.
the NFL star, and then she just goes and kills God and saves the world and destroys religion?
This is the
and then
her
she's
sending
just
tour,
doing her the next tour after Eras or whatever the fuck.
Is it time for another like every FNFF t-shirt or bumper sticker that just says "God is dead, time to party" and has like a picture of Yuna on
It
it?
has a picture of Taylor Swift on it. We get sued to the point where we no longer have where somehow Square doesn't have the rights to Final Fantasy anymore.
Hey, I checked the box that Taylor Swift cannot contact me. We're safe.
I want to just like sing the song here. It's so good. I'm not gonna do it, but
It's a really good song.
it's such a bop. I can't.
It's
get
the kind of
past
thing
it.
where
Like,
it's like I feel like seeing this, it's like a fucking punch to the gut, especially if you were coming into this and thinking like sequel to Final Fantasy X-2. Final Fantasy X-2 was very depressing, and then this happens. It's like this is literally setting the stage for the game, and it's like you can either look at it and be like, this is fucking stupid and I hate it and I don't want to experience this because like it seems like it's a sacrilege to the characters that I know, or you can just be like, oh, this is kind of dumb but it's really fucking funny and cool and I kind of dig it. Like
I kind of prefer it than instead of just like
yeah, I
there's
don't
other
want
sequels where, like,
continued
oh, no,
tragedy forever. Like I want bubbly,
yeah, like
stupid
Yuna's
fun.
been
Yeah.
through a lot. She deserves like a fucking break,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. I want the side story where it's all just, you know, bubbly and fun and cute. And so
Or
like
every episode
you know,
is the
this-
beach episode.
Yeah, maybe don't be so serious. Just take the game as it is and enjoy, you know?
I am a huge fan of the serious, depressing fantasy JRPG.
Oh god,
love
same.
it.
Oh my
Like,
god, yeah.
12 fucking incredible. Go on all day about how good 12 is, right? But, however, again, I haven't played 16 yet. It seems like a terribly depressing fantasy,
Seems
which is
extremely
perfect.
depressing from what I've played of it, yeah.
It looks like they made that game specifically for me, and they were like, what would Curtis like? The most fucking harrowing, fucking gut-wrenching fantasy of all time? Love that. That being said, what makes things work is contrast. Therefore, Square Enix, you must start Final Fantasy 17 with a song and dance number. We deserve it. It's been since 10-2, since we've had a song and dance start off a Final Fantasy. You have to do it with 17.
Honestly, if
Bring it
Final
back.
Fantasy 17 isn't you play as T-Square and that is your party for like half of the game, and then
Could
you
you
pop in
imagine?
disc 2 and the entire time you've been fighting Cassiopeia, and then
Oh my
something
God.
really terrible happens to the world and you and Cassiopeia have to team up and kill God, then I fucking frankly don't want it.
You have
And
to
I will
fight,
return
man.
every single one of my very valuable Square Enix NFTs if you do not make that game. Thank you.
I will go back to EB Games and tell them to take back my Brady strategy guide from Final Fantasy X-2. I don't even want it anymore. The legacy has been tarnished.
It's false advertising. I did not get 100%
That's right.
with this shit. But it cuts over to a really funny and cute thing here where it shows Riku just looking through a cool like
I love
set
this
of
so
binoculars.
much. She's
It's basically
watching
the Star Wars
show.
binoculars, which every Star Wars has, is a cyber binoculars shot.
Yeah,
It-
we can
it's-
see from inside of it, and it's got like a weird eye reticle in it.
And she's just grooving.
She's
I
fucking
love it
dancing
because,
along to
like-
it. She's wagging her finger, dude. She's having a great time.
She knows the words.
I
Apparently.
love it because like we assume that like she's on some kind of mission here, having like knocked out a guard, but like it's like the most Riku shit to be like, that shit can wait. Right now, groove into some tunes. That's the important thing. Love that.
I feel like it'd be impossible to not be grooving if you're in this. I mean, maybe Pain
100%.
isn't, but she seems more of a Joy Division fan to me.
You know what? I think you're right.
She'd be like, fuck this pop shit. I like Bandmade.
I like that a guard like taps on the shoulder to get her attention, like, "Hey, you don't have a ticket. You're not supposed to be here," kind of thing. Not even like that. Hey, you're the guy. You're the girl who fucking like just like killed this dude. He probably has no idea who she is.
Yeah,
and just gives kind of like a little tee kind of smirk, and then just kicks his ass and down,
and then just beats the shit out of him. It's so good.
Yeah. It's good.
It's funny to think too that like Riku like a couple years ago was literally helping you kill God, and like now she's just beating up guards at a Taylor Swift show.
That's right. Yeah, and at the end of that, she also gets like a little title
or like
card
character
for her as
title
well.
card.
Yeah.
And then she's back to looking through her binoculars. Something's happening. The guitars.
Things are happening.
Oh my god, these backup dancers are fucking.
They're killing it,
locked
dude.
in.
They are cutting a rug left and right.
I'm just playing it right now, too. Her microphone looks real goofy.
It's
looks like
a
there's, like,
weird looking cyberpunk microphone.
It just reminds me of the toy ones with the spring reverb in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm gonna hear my cat meow through it.
One thing that like this is not specific to this Yuna outfit, but one of the changes to Yuna's designs that I love is her insanely long ponytail that she has now.
Yeah, it's sick.
Would you call it a ponytail? A rat tail? She has like
Yeah,
a
she's
rat
got a
tail.
rat
with, like,
tail.
It's almost it's like freaking leopard tail.
It's like a mullet that is fashioned into her normal haircut, but also a ponytail.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like 2 years of hair though. It looks more like 10 years of hair.
It looks like 10 years of hair, like wrapped up.
Oh boy, I hope somebody got fired for that.
It's more like she got her haircut. Like every time she got her haircut, instead of she just kept the trimmings and just got
I'm
extensions.
totally on board for the horrible fucking creature that is the stage and also the drummer. But her hair does not look like it should be that long yet.
Like,
No, I know
it's
what
like,
you're
you know,
saying,
when people
though.
say like they got extensions, but it's like, no, she had an extension, like one.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
put in, like at the base of the back of her head. But I
Party
love
in
it
the
though.
back.
I love
Very
the design
specific
of it.
part of her back is in party mode.
Oh, I am actually looking at it now and see what you guys are talking about. No, she went full Super Saiyan 3 with the length of hair.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Alex, I'm sorry, I was clowning on you.
We also see a guard fighting the other lady that we saw in the hallway earlier that motioned to Riku or whatever, and she also
Cool-ass
beats
fashion.
the shit out of this man.
Does a sick, like Ryu like fucking spin kick on him.
yeah.
Oh, and then she does like a slide down the rail.
After
Just
she
kinda
gets her
lazy.
title card, which her name is Pain, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she slides down the rail, like just kind of like super chill. So
Just,
she
like,
is.
arms crossed.
We finally got the answer. We finally got the answer that we've been waiting for to the age-old question, why RP? And the P is pain.
But why are Pain?
I'm sorry, I didn't answer because I'm still watching the cutscene and it fucking shreds.
It's really good.
The song stops. We get now that everyone's been introduced. We see the title card and the song ends.
Oh, it's
And Riku
so cool.
hops on, I guess, one of the guitarist's glider,
Yeah.
and then we're in game, right?
Yeah, she hops on one of those and then flies it toward the stage.
God, yeah, it's
This is an action packed.
Yeah, the title card of Final Fantasy X-2 like explodes in with like the last hit of the song too, which is really really nice and satisfying.
It's so good. It's so good.
But then we in engine we're seeing Yuna just like still dancing. It's a different song because we're in like a different kind of
It's the
and so but except for me because if you look at our YouTube channel, so I sometimes upload ambient sounds from like different areas of Final Fantasy X because I thought the just environment sounds were so nice. And a way to do that is I basically just turned down the music and just recorded my Switch for like an hour.
Okay.
So when I booted up X2, when we got to this part, all the music just stopped. And I was like really confused. Like,
Dead
it's
silent.
an interesting artistic direction. The song's over, but she's still dancing, and like we're just silently like fighting in the middle of because apparently the sound settings from 10 carries over to 10.2 in the
Really strange
HD
game
remaster.
design, but it
Oh.
makes sense because this is the developers who gave us 10.2, which has some really strange game design.
Riku and this new character Pain kind of like square off against Yuna, so we're already kind of like confused, right? Like as an audience.
It's setting it up like it's a battle, but Yuna is on the one side and still kind of has the microphone, still dancing. The backing track is still playing, and Riku and Pain are like there fighting. And it's like, wait, are we about to fight Yuna? That's weird.
It's crazy, right? And Riku says, "Give it back already." And a voice comes out of Yuna's body that does not sound like Yuna. Right?
Can't believe they got a different voice actress.
Yeah,
for,
different
for
voice
Yuna.
actress
How,
for Yuna.
how awful.
It just says question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, and she summons two goons.
She
She
says,
boys.
She says, boys.
One in on
like,
this number, then show me your moves.
Oh, the way she says it.
Want in on this number? Then show me your moves.
Then show me your moves.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, and Pain's immediately like taking out her sword and just like, think you can keep up?
Oh yeah, I know. God, Pain fucking rules. All of the voice acting in this game is just a little overdone in a great way. Like
And
they're
like
all
to
just
its like benefit.
to its benefit, exactly. Like it
It
sounds
feels like
like
they've gotten comfy now, which I think is better because
Yeah,
in 10
yeah.
it felt like there were times where like, oh, this is our first game kind of working with voice samples. We don't really know what to do, so we're very strict about like timing and stuff. Like you
We're very strict about timing, but also like we'll speed it up really quick because it didn't match the voice of the
exactly.
where
Yeah.
like you can hear like Titus just speak really fast because like, oh, we need to fit into the slot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. So like, there's so many good lines that are just like that. You show me your moves. You think you could keep up? You know, it's so sassy. I love it.
There's a lot of good incidental dialogue as well, of just like what your characters say throughout, like during different things as they're about to do certain moves or something. Some of them really fucking corny, but again, I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound. I'm just like,
There's also a lot
I'm
of
down
cultural
for it.
references in the American script too.
Yeah,
which are
yeah,
always
that-
really funny.
There is
this is the sequel to the game that gave us the Macarena joke.
Yeah, it's true.
Doesn't Pain like say like does she make like a Dirty Harry joke at sometimes where like you feel
Maybe.
lucky punk? Or
Yeah,
whatever
she
like that?
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
There is a. I think in the mathematical community they call it a metric fuck ton of
Yes.
incidental dialogue in the battles. Like there's so much. Like I've beaten this game, got 100% on it multiple times in my life, right? And I am still hearing things for the first time. Like when I get into battles and like they say something, I'm like, "What?" Like I've never
there's
heard
a
this
lot
before.
of customization in this game.
There's
Like,
so much.
There's a lot that we're going to be having to cover and talk about somehow. So
Yeah. But yeah, so we're in a fight with Yuna. We're playing as Riku and Pain, fighting Yuna in our
on
first
top
battle.
of the Foul C drummer, horrible
top of the fallacy drummer.
god stage.
And I will say, like, this is one of my personal disappointments, I think, with this game a little bit, is that I don't think any battle in this game will be as cool as
Oh, sure.
fighting on top of a Foul C drummer. Like, it starts so high, and then it never quite hits it again, in my opinion.
They wanted to start off strong. The last
Yeah.
battle we had was with fucking Braska's final Aeon or whatever. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah, like
BFA,
what, 10,
the
it's
big
10
fucking
started with the
asshole.
Blitzball fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. 10 did start.
Except we had a lot of running before that. Just us running to get to the game.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so we're fighting. And we have so Pain is kind of like a warrior class or like a fighter from an old
I think
Final Fantasy.
the job is warrior, right?
The job's warrior. We don't have access to the jobs yet, but it is warrior. She is a warrior, which gives her access to a couple skills. So she has like a stronger attack than Riku does.
She's got a power break, which we know from 10. That was one of
Yeah.
Oren's like signature moves when we started on the regular sphere grid. Which
I think it's actually a pretty good way to introduce you to a new character is
Yeah.
by giving her a skill that another character had that was pivotal in the first one, where you're like, oh, I know what to do with this. Okay, no problem.
I it's funny because it's been so long since I played 10. I wanted to do another full playthrough of 10 before 10.2, and then I was just like, I do not have the time for that. But it took me probably about like 30 minutes of playing this to be like, oh yeah, that's what I used to use power break for. It lowers the attack of your enemy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
When you hit it with it, and I think it used to stack or something. I can't remember specifically, but I'm excited to see how it plays in this game.
Yeah.
Having steal right off the bat is extremely useful. I noticed.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Do you
right
wanna-
from the first battle, just like hoarding potions.
Did you
Yeah.
steal anything
Budget
good
grenades.
in the? Yeah, I
a
love
budget grenade.
I love that the economy in Spira has gotten so bad that now they have budget grenades as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like Riku is the thief, obviously. She has the steal command in this. You can steal the budget grenades. I think you can steal Gil from Yuna.
Eventually, maybe even throughout this battle or this next section, you'll start leveling up and getting more skills. And one of them
Yeah.
is Pilfer Gil, so you can, which sounds like a cool fucking Simpsons character.
Oh,
or
that's right.
something.
Yeah.
So you can steal some Gil as well.
And interestingly, thieves in this game, if you have a character who is a thief, they attack twice. They do less damage, but they do 2 sets of damage.
Yeah, Riku's got a
and-
cool set of like daggers as well.
Oh, I love her daggers. They're so cool.
Oh yeah, they're cool. They got an interesting little shape to them.
Yeah, there's like a full like bladed hand guard that goes all the way around the hand. It's pretty
It looks
neat.
like these daggers would fit right in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah.
Um,
God, Pain's boots are so fucking pointy.
if you attack with Riku, also you'll notice that because she does 2 attacks, the second time she attacks, it will say chain. So like a little thing will pop up above her attack that says like chain 1, right? And if you attack with Riku and then Pain immediately right afterwards, when Pain attacks, you'll see chain 2 pop up. So chaining is a thing in this game where if you do attacks like immediately one right after the other, it multiplies the damage of successive attacks.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of damage very, very quickly if you like hold back on the ATB for just a moment and then build up a big chain and then end with a finisher. So if you have like an attack coming up that's going to do like a lot of damage, you can try to boost its damage significantly by having the other 2 characters attack right before the big one hits. And so you're going to have like an even larger hit. So that's kind of like useful in like things like the speed run, or if you're finding yourself a little bit underpowered for a boss or something like that, you can kind of pull a little bit extra damage and make the fight a little bit easier by doing that.
It's interesting too because of the way that it sounds like it's simple, but I feel like it's going to be a little more complex than that because like Pain has a much larger and like a longer ATB bar than Riku. I guess Riku,
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
sense. She's faster. So you'll have to stagger your attacks a little bit. It's not just like mash X and you win, like you do attacks. It's like you get a benefit to actually being strategic about your timing with it. Even with something like, okay, well, I am going to use magic later on. And if I'm using a thunder spell, how long does it take for me to cast it after
Yep,
hitting confirm to hit the enemy? And then also how can I time that with the other 2 characters who have different ATB bars and that sort of thing. So it's really, I'm very excited to get really into this battle system.
Not only that, but the battles in this are positional, where like the enemy's placement in the battle is real, and it determines how long it takes a character to run up and hit them too.
Yeah.
And the characters take different amounts of times to run up and hit the enemy, even if they're the same job. So if you have like Riku and Pain are both thieves, and you can't tell them to both go at the same time because you have to obviously have to hit one and then the other. But if you could, Riku will hit first. Like she's a little bit faster running up and starting her attack animation than Pain is. So like there are so many things that go into this ATB system, which is why I think it's the best one. I think it's like kind of the perfect version of the ATB system in that you don't really have to engage with those if you don't want to. But there's
you can
so
make it a straight up
much
turn-based
nuance.
one pretty much, but it's like it
Yeah,
feels like a weird hybrid of like ATB turn-based and like also an action RPG. Like you're not
Yes, yeah.
running up with Riku and controlling her and hitting like an attack button or something, but it's like you have to account for all of that.
Right. So it's really good. I really like the battle system in this. It works really, really well. But Yuna doesn't do too much, right? She like buffs the goons, I think, and the goons
Yeah.
mostly can do some damage to you, and that's about
She
it.
does some magic attacks like thunder, I think. Too.
She lets you steal
Yeah.
a high potion from her.
That's
which is
what it
pretty
is. A high
sick.
potion, yeah.
I think she uses thunder as well, but it doesn't seem to be doing that much damage.
Yeah.
Eventually, we whittle her down, and Pain says, "I could have danced all night."
Yeah, I love that. I could have danced all night.
It's cool. And fake Yuna, I guess, says, "Sorry, no time for an encore," and then we get kind of like a flashbang, I guess.
Yeah,
because the next thing we see,
flashbangs.
yeah, I guess because the next thing we see is just them running outside. Mm-hmm. I guess the outer corridors perimeter of Luca.
Right.
where we would hang out with Thronso if this was the last game.
That's right. So Riku and Pain chase after her. We see her running on the outside of the Luca Blitzball Stadium. If you remember, like from Final Fantasy X, this is where we went for the halftime show to go fight the. Was it the Obliterator was on that ship? Do you remember that?
When Yuna was kidnapped, right?
That's right. So we're on those docks.
Or the same direction where we first saw Seymour and then stuff like that.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do see cargo. Speaking of, there are piers around here with cargo on them, which we should probably pay attention to.
There's the mini map is back, and we can see an offshoot to a pier, like a path. And then if you try and follow that path, there's an invisible wall there, and you can't go there, which I found kind of frustrating. But we're being chased by guys in this. It's similar to like when we were escaping the one area in 10, and the guys were chasing after us, and we would get into a battle if they caught up with us. That's happening again here.
Except they're coming from like all directions.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Goons and she-goons.
I love the
Goons and she-goons. If we go to the second screen, there's also a pier offshoot there that you actually can go down. And if you don't, you'll miss 100%. Mm-hmm. So from the get-go, you need to go down that pier.
That's the catchphrase for this season.
Yeah, so go down there, and there's a person in a Moogle mascot costume who's like
just kind of slumped down on the ground.
Down, kind of hiding from the action. It's kind of like they see all this stuff happening and they're kind of like cowering in the corner. And if you interact with them, you get a full heal on your party.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh,
nice.
I didn't realize that was what the full heal was, but that's nice. Yeah. It's very baffling because a lot of everything is just happening right now, and you have no fucking idea what's going on. So then you run down this pier.
Have no point of reference for anything.
Yeah, you run down this pier. Maybe you talk to this weird Moogle mascot guy, and it just goes like, and it like has like a glowing effect and stuff. And it's like if things weren't chasing after you and stuff, you could probably like figure out. Oh yeah, that's a heal. I genuinely didn't know what that did.
You know what?
Like,
let me.
I believe you. I think.
No,
you're
I
right
don't
about
believe myself now. I need to actually test it. Because I'm like, I think that's a full heal. I think I've always heard that that's a heal, but I didn't actually test it. So put a pin in that, and next episode we'll find out if that's true.
I have my footage here. I can check, but go ahead.
No, actually, you know what? Remind me at the end of the episode to say something. I have a corrections corner for the entire season of Final Fantasy 2. But we'll do that at the end of the episode.
It's that the game is actually bad, and we hate it. And
yeah,
there's no redeeming.
So you speak to the Moogle. You continue onward, and
we eventually hit a cutscene where I think it is the same dock where we would go fight the Obliterator, and we see Riku is like, "Hey, you run too fast," and from behind we see this kind of dude with two guns, right, kind of lumbering towards her.
I love the way too that Riku's model looks in this scene because it's not CG, but sometimes, like for certain scenes, characters just get a lot more polygons all of a sudden just for the scene.
There's a lot of it's actually very jarring for me sometimes because the animation gets really fluid, but then the run cycle just goes back into the really jerky like normal one.
Yeah.
This is also one where I think the PS2 just looks better, like their face, because there's something about how saturated and like I think the HD textures on the low poly models just look kind of weird together.
Okay.
The PS2 just kind of, I think your brain kind of makes it just feels more realistic to me.
Yeah.
Natural.
But yeah,
I can also confirm that at least that Moogle heals your HP at the very least. I don't know if it heals your MP because my MP stayed the same between the two battles where I interacted with it, but it at least gives you an HP heal.
Okay, cool. There you have it. But I'm sorry, Alex, continue.
Oh yeah, so this guy is now behind Riku, who has kind of a Severus Snape-y kind of voice. Alan Rickman is like, "You're too slow, little girl."
Very campy, again, in a good way, somehow.
Guns, and a big turtle man who kind of looks like... Yeah, combined, they kind of remind me of the Magus sisters, something like the Magus brothers now.
Yeah,
imagine a perfectly spherical man. Like
imagine Smo
so.
from the classic game Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's just Smo.
And next to him, imagine Ornstein.
Oh, yeah, it's Ornstein and Smo. Oh my god, it's them.
This dialogue is so strange because he just says "show's over, blah ha ha," and then Riku says "youch."
Yeah, the way he says it too is like, "Show's over." Like it's like his voice is so silly.
Her extremely animated face saying "Youch" is very funny.
I love the animation of her face saying "Youch" so much. It's so
This is
good.
like-
It's so smooth.
This era, I think, of Square Enix games, like I think this kind of carries over like the Kingdom Hearts style animation, which I think even like Crisis Core did a little bit too, where they kind of are extremely animated.
Yeah.
Again, maybe just the era of like playing on smaller screens, and we take it for granted now playing on giant screens where like
Yeah, we can be more subtle.
we don't need to like play to the back of the room. I've said this a many times with older games for like,
Yeah.
but I like it. It's cool.
I like that the round one of the guys that are in this cutscene, he has like what looks like a big shield on his back, and all around it there's almost like an icon that's kind of like a planchette that looks like the face of like Sachiel from Evangelion, like the first angel that you see. And I think I'm looking at the
It
Shigun.
does look like that.
I'm looking at the Shigun like artwork. I don't think it was Amano that did the concept art in this, if I'm not mistaken. At least not in this picture. It doesn't look like it. But they also are wearing like a mask that has like a fabric mask that has that symbol on it as well.
I wonder what that means.
Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of faction they're a part of or something. But Riku and Pain are getting chased by these two dullards, and the one dude I love how
They're
like
getting
just
chased by the
comically
sticky bandits.
long his the sticky bandits exactly. I love how comically long his like revolvers are that are just at his side, and as they're running, there's a very funny comical moment of like their feet getting shot at and them having to like dance, you know, like
Yeah, they're like chasing
Dance for
Riku
me.
and Pain, but someone like somebody off screen starts shooting at their feet to stop them, right? And yeah, they do the little like dance shuffle when they're getting their feet shot at, and a full CGI scene begins, right?
Well, until we see Yuna, we think with guns. This is the one we were chasing. We don't know. I guess not, because it's not in her
different
dancer
outfit. Yeah.
And then she runs towards them, and as she jumps over them, it turns into just a CG shot of her doing the cool like Matrix flip.
Doing a bunch of cool flips, holding guns at them and continuing to open fire the entire time. Very lightning.
She flips
of
on
her.
the X, Y, and Z axis at once. It's insane.
And this is like the team kind of like the YRP kind of title screen, right?
Yeah, she lands beside Riku and Pain. And we assume this time that this is like the quote-unquote real Yuna or whatever, because she saved us, right?
She's on our side, not the bad guy's side of the,
Right,
of the
right.
fight. Yeah.
And this made me realize Riku's knives, like the handles spin independently from the blade, and I think it locks, so she does a little spin thing, like almost like a fidget spinner.
Yeah,
she can
it's-
lock
Yeah,
it
that
in
rocks.
place.
She
It's
would
super
have a
tight.
fidget spinner or two.
So she can make it like a back underhand or overhand anytime she wants without changing her grip.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so Yuna lands beside them, and then you get the title card for the three of them that just says YRP, which is fucking incredible. Super
Yerp.
good. yeah, Yerp, as we'll be calling them.
Europe, as they liked to be called.
That's right. And then an imposter Yuna appears, right?
Yeah, we're in a battle first, actually.
Yeah, we're in
Oh,
a
I'm
battle.
sorry.
We get to
My
use
mistake.
Yuna for the first time, and it interesting new skill. She's got something named Trigger Happy, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a command that we can use that I didn't know how it worked at first. I was like, oh, cool. She gets to have a cool gun move. But you can actually hit the two L and R buttons, I think, and do more attacks with it. And I think it might build up chain as well, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that.
Oh, I don't know. It might. I know that right now, like in this battle, it will do like 1 or 0 damage every bullet that fires.
Yeah.
So
no, that definitely builds chain as well. Yeah, it's not really
It does,
doing too
okay.
much, but I guess that's more so kind of you're shooting a lot, building up chain to get more of a damage multiplier down the road.
It definitely pays off more when we're strong enough to do more than a single digit of damage.
Yuna went to Yarnum, the Bloodborne land, and got some guns from there, which do 0 damage, but are good for strategic use instead.
Yeah, so
Speaking of Yuna's guns, did you guys know that Hori, I think is the name of the controller company?
Yes.
They made PlayStation 2 controllers that are modeled after the guns, and they look
Yes, they
insane.
did.
They look
It's
like I
awesome.
want to get them and try and speedrun
Oh,
on them because
wow.
they are.
Did you see?
They're
what-
called Tiny Bee.
I was gonna say the name.
Yeah,
the name
Tiny
was
Bee.
The Tiny Bees.
This is so funny.
Not to be
like-
confused with Lil B.
Oh my goodness. When did
Awesome.
Dirge Strippers come out? This is 2006. It was like, it's interesting. Like, I almost feel like Dirge Strippers was like a response to X2.
Yeah.
It was like, girl time over. These are how men use guns.
Now it's boy time.
It is.
Boy gunner.
It is interesting to try and consider who this demographic is for, because the J-pop kind of nature of it, I feel like that has more of a connotation that it's like kind of marketed more towards girls or trying to get more girls to play video games. And this is all just like me thinking about like the mindset of the developers at the time, not me saying like this is a girl game or anything, which I think everyone knows, but I'm just going to say that as well. But it's also like all of the outfits are very like, very Nomura, let's say. Although I guess he didn't really design all of them, but
No.
they're a little like, scandally clad and stuff, which kind of, it's like, okay, were they trying to just get like both demographics at once, or like who were they like making this for,
If
You know,
there's a
I
lot
really-
of that in the development where it seems like they were trying to like do a lot of fan service.
Yeah.
Both for all parties involved, were like just more like emotional fan service and like, physical teasy kind of tongue-in-cheeky type stuff.
Right.
Totally goofy.
And we'll get to it like in a couple episodes in, but there is an entire like running subplot of 3 hunky boys.
Yes, get me
the
some
fantasy hunky
himbos.
boys.
I guess these guys are our himbos.
These guys are.
They seem pretty dumb.
Now that we're in the battle, we can see their names are Logos and Orbi.
They are our Bebop and Rocksteady for
Yes.
Final Fantasy X too.
Ninja Turtle swag.
Bebop Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
he likes 10 too, right?
yes.
Yes.
Oh man,
Indeed.
maybe this is the season. Maybe
Maybe
this is
so.
the season, y'all.
Yeah. So like I said, Trigger Happy is not like super good right now, but we can when we start earning AP, we can level that up to give us a longer amount of time in which to shoot the guns.
Nice.
But it is kind of cool that like that skill basically just lets you manually shoot the gun for a little while. It's
Yeah,
fun.
they took one of the best features from Final Fantasy VIII and they put it into this game.
That would be super fun to do on the Hori controller.
Oh my god, absolutely.
Like if the trigger was like the R1 button, and you go like pa, 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 like that would be sick.
I should play with the turbo controller again with 8-bit dough.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, we get another voice coming in, and again it is question mark and says that's quite enough sniveling, boys. Really great
love it.
performance
I love it.
from this voice actress as well. And we see evil Yuna.
Evil Yuna.
And she says, "Persistent, aren't you?" And then it shows a cut of her looking at our Yuna.
It's a weird like cross cut where like her
Split screen,
it's split screen, but
co-op.
they overlap each other in different planes where the backgrounds, she's in the background of the other unit for a second. Like it's like they're all like it's really weird. It's really cool though. It's like, whoa, she's in the foreground there, and like they're trading backgrounds.
They
It's
like
kind of
pan the camera or tilt the camera or whatever.
I don't know,
Yeah.
they like separated them into different layers, so it creates this weird kind of like picture book illusion.
But yeah, Yuna looks fucking pissed, and she says, "My grid," and Riku says, "Yeah, give us back Yuni's garment grid right now," which sounds like nonsense, but we'll kind of learn more about this.
You give us back Uni's garment grid right now!
Didn't you girls ever learn to share?
Give it back!
Very well, it's yours.
Also, Yuna's got crazy cleavage in this game.
Yep.
Does
Again,
she?
wondering. Yes, and also,
Yeah, I guess so.
Big boob window.
in her design, she also has like a big necklace. I think it might actually be like tying her top together or something. That is like Titus's, like the symbol that Titus had.
Xenarch and Abe's. Yeah.
Yeah, there's her Xanarch and Abe's.
It's like the Venom logo, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I actually love her outfit. I think
It's-
really
it's
Oh,
good.
it's great. It's wonderful. It's.
There's quite a bit of skin.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
true.
the other
It is
thing
true.
too is it's like the appreciation of this type of character design isn't necessarily a gendered thing. Like I follow a lot of like artists who are always drawing this kind of style who are like female artists and stuff. It's like that. I was just trying to put myself into like the mindset of like the developers trying to capitalize and get the most people playing their game.
Sure.
Everyone will be happy.
Of course.
But
anyway, I'm sorry. Now I'm just looking at the outfits.
My
in the
grid.
manual.
That's my grid.
That's my grid.
Alex, I believe you were just saying that Yuna has quite a bit of cleavage in this game. Well, evil Yuna gives back the garment sphere or whatever and transforms into what we can imagine is her true form. And speaking of cleavage, this character just looks like sorceress, like one of the sorceress characters from like Final Fantasy VIII.
She just
like,
be looking like Ultimacia with
sick.
like,
yeah.
Yeah, if you think Dono had a crazy outfit, this person's like even wilder.
It's so good. She's got like a heart tattoo. It almost looks like that actually might be the symbol that is all over all the Shiguns and the
heart?
Ogo or whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah, Ormi.
Yeah, it looks like a heart. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's wearing a weird like twist thing where it starts at one leg, goes around one side, around her neck, and then around the other. Like, but they actually intersect like well below her navel. So it's like it might as well. It's like you're wearing a scarf.
It is. So if you've seen someone who has what you would call an aggressive V-neck, this is like the most aggressive that it could possibly be.
Yeah. This is
it's like a coat
all the way
that,
V-neck.
Yeah.
It's so low that I wouldn't actually have any problem using a urinal wearing this.
Cool collar too.
Yeah, it's
This woman
it's,
is a
Like
queen, I
lucky
just want
rabbit's
y'all to
feet
know.
hanging off the ends of it or something, or like feathers.
and she has these little like and she has these little pins in her hair, kind of.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Very, very asymmetrical design, which we've seen no shortage of in the first one.
I think what we're all trying to say here is absolute queen.
Yeah, absolute legend. Amazing. No notes.
No notes. Perfect.
We gave our notes, but now we get to learn how to use garment grids, right?
Yeah, because we get into a fight with all three of them, and we get a tutorial on how to use the garment grid and the job change system, or the dress sphere change
and
system.
when we say tutorial, it's not like some prior tutorials that we had where you just read a lot of text. It is a prompt comes up that says press L1 to access the garment grid, and then that comes up as like this character LeBlanc is running at you and attacking you. Like
like you need to do it now.
this game is just like, oh no, you're going. Like it's a new battle system, and you don't wait anymore. You're in active time. Yep, here you go.
It's a really cool. It's a really cool visual way of doing it because the main battle screen shrinks a little bit into the upper like 2/3.
Yeah.
And we see. It feels almost like we're on a news station where like the action gets shrunk into the corner and like.
I was gonna say it's like a change a scene in OBS so that it like shifts things around a little bit, so your gameplay shows in a different way and stuff.
But at least in the remaster, the bottom we see.
Yeah,
I guess our
he press L1 and chat comes in on the left or whatever.
You see a bunch of Franker Z's just being posted.
Thanks for the follow, Ask Guy 21. I appreciate it.
But the dress grid is kind of like a miniature sphere grid, which is
Yeah,
kind of its arrangement.
It's the kind of thing where it first came up, I'm like, I have no fucking idea what this is trying to make me do. And within like 5 minutes of like poking around on it, I'm like, I immediately understand this system and I'm excited to play with it.
Now,
I like because the grid, and we will find out later, is that you can change your jobs, but not to any job at any time. You have to like move to a adjacent job, and I think we'll unlock different grids that we can kind of like that are configured in different patterns.
Yeah,
and stuff.
maybe when we get like our second or third one, we can do like a more deep dive on how it works or whatever.
I feel like, and it's also going to be hard to be like, we're not going to be like, and at this point you've probably unlocked Sentinel, and at this point you've probably, it's like that'll all be coming, and we'll probably talk about those roles and those different types like individually when it kind of makes sense, but all along like we've learned more shit. Like at this point I think Riku has learned Pilfer Gill and like it moves like Flame Tongue and stuff like that. Like we've been slowly throughout battles accumulating different skills that we can use.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when the grid comes up, we see our little cursor and we see that we are on Gunner, and we can move over one, which is to Songstress. Or is it songstress or songstress?
Songstress.
Song
Anytime I have to
stress.
play live, I do have song stress, and I fuck up the notes because of it. But a really interesting thing happens when we do this type of paradigm shift, which is we get cool little animations of like magical girl transformations.
Yeah.
Which I think happens like each time you like shift, like the first time in a battle or something, which I imagine is annoying if you're speedrunning or something, or
You can turn
see
it
a
off in
million
the
times.
settings.
Oh, nice. You can turn it off in the settings. Perfect. I'm not going to until probably several hours into the game.
It's like the Aeon summoning where you can just turn
Yeah,
on
turn it on short
version.
mode or whatever and stuff. So it's,
I
I like it though. It's pretty cool.
I will never turn it off.
Yeah, that's what
Will
I'm
not do
thinking.
it.
It's like it's quick enough and it's
This allows me
cool.
time to take a drink.
yeah.
gives
that's
me a
right.
second to fucking think. This game's coming at me a million miles an hour. Jesus.
But now Yuna's in her songstress costume like the dancer we saw in the beginning of the game.
Yep.
Or I guess 5 minutes ago.
And like jobs in the previous Final Fantasy games, your options in each job are different, right? So like as a songstress, Yuna no longer has access to the attack command.
Yeah,
so
she can
right
no
now
longer shoot her gun. She is not allowed.
She's like a bard now.
Every
more or less,
musician
right?
is
She's like
not
a
allowed to
bard.
shoot their gun. Yeah.
And I think right now she only has one move that she can do, which is the darkness dance. But using that, it'll basically start Yuna into like singing and dancing. And for the duration of her song and dance, blind will be applied to all of the enemies. And this is kind of how the songstress works, where you use a move, the character will start to sing and dance. And for that duration, certain status effects will either be applied to all enemies or all party members, or possibly even both in some cases. But I don't remember exactly what all of the different songs we can get are.
I hope
And there's
that
also an
we
interesting
learn
thing with-
96 quite bitter beings with Yuna. That's a one-shot kill, I think. That's the win button.
Interestingly, most of the jobs you get their skills through getting like experience for that job, or like I think it's maybe AP or whatever. We'll get there when we get there. And you learn more skills that way. And there are dances that you can learn that way. But interestingly, the songstress and there's a couple others have skills that you learn through like talking to people or doing side quests in this game.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
That which I'm sure that makes like exploration more interesting too, where it's like the Jack shot or something. It's things that you unlock in alternate ways, which I am excited about.
Yeah. I like that during this battle, LeBlanc can supercharge Ormi or Logos by doing a move called Love Tap, where she smacks them on the ass with a paper fan.
Amazing.
So that's fun.
I mean,
That's
to be
good.
fair, I feel like we would all be supercharged after such an experience.
Oh, absolutely. Whomst amongst
I
us?
also we talked about how powerful Pain's stance is by like having her back sassily to the enemy and stuff. LeBlanc has an aggressively powerful stance. She's standing there like kind of bopping a little bit, and she'll put her hands up into the air and just like be like wiggling a little bit. It's like nuts, dude. It's really
incredible.
good.
Every animation of all the characters in this game are just so unhinged. It's so good.
It's also
but
just
yeah.
so funny just seeing Yuna fucking cutting a rug as like Pain is like trying to kill this woman with a gun blade.
Oh man, this game rules. But I think that's about it for this boss, right? I mean, it's like the second fight in
this
the
a boss?
game, right? Yeah, is this a boss? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems you can play around in the grid more. You can change like Riku, who also has a magical girl transformation and a new costume and all of that. But it's pretty much just tutorial boss. Let you play around with it. You're not really going to lose it. You probably can lose it. I did not test that.
Right.
Do
But
you have opportunity to use the other dress spheres for other characters in this fight? Or
Yeah, I switched
Okay.
Riku to another one. Yeah,
okay, cool, neato.
yeah.
But this beginning of this game, I'm curious about was Yuna scheduled to perform at this thing, or is this thing
That's
that
my I'm interested to hopefully learn more. I would also be okay with them just to be like, fuck it. Who cares?
What is going on?
Yeah.
That's kind of going to be my thesis statement for this game this season is going to be fuck it. Who cares? I'm having fun. That's what I'm looking at doing.
I think my guess is that we will actually have more time to go through that in the next episode.
Okay, nice.
So I think we'll say that for the back half of the second episode, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to.
I have no idea, so I think it probably makes sense for me to have a better understanding before we do.
Curse, you didn't talk about your favorite death scream.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
The goon.
So
Ormy's or Logos' scream.
Logos' scream.
There's a lot of good screams in this game, guys.
So
if you kill the goon, which you can do very quickly between two of them, they just go.
Oh, when they do the yeah. There was a saying for like 2 fucking years, man. It's so long. I was streaming, and every time like something fucked up or I killed a boss, I would go, "It cannot be," and I was like, "Where is that from?" And I could never remember. And it is from this game. This is what Logo says whenever you beat him. And it is now a channel redeem on my Twitch stream. So, twitch.tv/TwirlAndCurtis. Come hang out with me. Anyway,
fuck yeah.
The pitch for just like, this cannot be.
It's so good. It's so good.
It cannot be.
It reads like Kevin Sorbo's like disappointed almost.
Disappointed. Yeah. It's
Disappointed.
It is maybe the campiest game that we've ever covered so far, and we've covered fucking Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah.
But it really works for it. It's, again, just fuck it. I'm having fun.
That's right. Yeah, so this boss is pretty easy. We beat them. LeBlanc and crew run away. And
they run away,
yells
fucking
back.
real Team Rocket.
Real Team Rocket energy. LeBlanc yells back at us, "I won't let you off so easily next time." And Riku starts to chase after them, right? She's like, "Get back here." And Pain stops her by like just kind of whispering her name, being like, "Riku, no." like
hold up.
Yeah, Pain
Riku
has concern in her eyes, and then we see what she is looking at, and it is Yuna, who also has a lot of concern on her face, but is continuing to fucking tap dance away.
Yo, she is getting down. Oh my god, what's the
Logos dies, Yuna dances.
Dude, she is hitting the gritty. She's
doing the floss
flossing.
dance. She's doing the orange justice.
She's
This is
doing
also
the,
another like just kind of very short pre-rendered bit where she just is she can't stop dancing and she's looks a little concerned but she can't
She
stop.
does look like she's having fun though. She does a little spin.
What's the name of that? There was a dance that everybody was doing early this year on like Instagram.
The Macarena.
It began with an S. What the hell is that?
The Sacarena.
The Casper slide part.
All right, everybody, do the podcast for me while I look this up.
A few moments later.
Everybody, sturdy. That's it. The sturdy.
The sturdy. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yuna gets sturdy. That was the joke I was trying to make. That took me like 2 minutes to pull together.
It came together really well, though.
I think so. I think it was really smooth, seamless.
I guess I need to see that is a good fucking dance.
The sturdy?
Yes. I'm
I
looking at it
tried to learn
now.
it once, but I'm a fat old man.
And I was trying to learn one of the fucking Fortnite dances. I found a page on it on WikiHow because it's the dumb one where you like cross your arms and like move
I
your
like
legs.
that one.
That one's so dumb and I love it. And I was like, I want to just start doing that in public as a fucking mid-30s man because I think it'd be funny, but it's too hard for me.
We'll all learn it, and at MagFest we'll get together and we'll all do it.
We're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing the sturdy. We're going to be doing it all, baby. And then Alex is going to take Yuna's model from this game and put the frame into the Fortnite dances so we can see her doing it too.
Oh my god, hitting the garment gritty? I'm sorry.
There was the other trend from like last year or whatever of like the little guy on the ground doing like the kicking dance and then break dancing and stuff.
Yes, I
doing
love that. There's so many good animations. People.
I need to see Yuna doing that, but it needs to be her World of Final Fantasy chibi version of her doing it.
Who's standing over her looking at her?
Arlen.
Like that.
Kimari. It might be Kimari.
Yeah. God, that's
anyway,
so good.
we get that fun little moment of which I assume there will be many, and then we get a nice little
we get another character
establishing
card.
shot of Riku running back. Is that all still going on? And we see an overlay that says "Mission complete." We did it, guys. We beat Final Fantasy X-2. Next season, we're doing Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, that's it.
That music sting is really fucking cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like it finished a Sonic level or something.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, but that's the start of Final Fantasy X too. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Dude, okay. I'm immediately gonna be a downer. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but please.
We love to do that here.
This is the best fucking beginning to any Final Fantasy. It's so goddamn hype. Like, everything about it is so wild and just ridiculous and unhinged. And it just, you're playing it, like, every time I play this game, I feel like I have this, like, childlike sense of wonder of, like, wow. You know what I mean? They're going for it. They're swinging for the fences. And I feel like this is the hardest they ever swing. And like, not to I don't mean that as like a spoiler or anything like that. And like, please play the rest of this game with us.
I for a second I was like, in other Final Fantasy games. Okay.
No, I mean, in this game, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. You gotta, it's prison rules. You gotta kick the ass of the most powerful guy there immediately to establish yourself, and then you can kind of relax for a little bit.
And I think that's what it does. I think it kicks ass, establishes itself, and then relaxes for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
and that's not entirely fair. Like, there are like scenes of high tension, but nothing with that much bravery, I want to say. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. Well,
and
to
like,
temper the expectations a little, maybe.
Yeah, and not to say, and like, but that's not. I think the thing about Final Fantasy 2 is that's not the thing that's on showcase here, right? And I think that, like, when I play this game again and whenever I enjoy it and I go through it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. It's not actually about the bombast and like ridiculousness. It's about all the minutia. It's about all the small pieces of it. It's about doing like the cool ATB battle system. It's about the mini games. It's about talking to the same people multiple times throughout the game. A million times. Yeah, a million times.
Take notes, Brady.
Yeah, right. But
literally take notes and give them to people so that they can get 100%, you assholes, you clowns.
But yeah, you'll talk to people like multiple times throughout the course of the game and see how their lives are going, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So like
you're playing through an epilogue where I'm sure there's going to be stakes at some point, but like you can't really follow up a game with the stakes of the last game. I mean, you could. I'm sure other games probably in like Final Fantasy 13 too probably does it. I don't know, but like, it would be really hard to like take that and be like, okay, but how do we make it even more? Like, it's like I don't really need that. I just I want to go and see what Waka's up to. I want to see what Kamari's doing.
Yeah, and I think that if that's what you're going in for, you're
can't wait to see Aaron, baby.
Great time. Yeah. Ooh. But I think you'll have a great time if that's the case, right? If you're going in to see like how the world has changed and stuff like that, then like it delivers in every way. But to me, I think it's not quite as bombastic, but that's okay. And I don't mean that to be like too dour or disparaging about the game. I still think the game is incredible. I think it is aged incredibly well. But that is as exciting as it's gonna get right there, in my opinion.
I'm real excited.
Yeah. How about y'all?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Interesting if true. No, I don't know. I'm really excited to get more.
It throws a lot at you at once. Both the mechanic, like it's even after this cutscene, I was like, "What the fuck's happening?" Because it just throws a lot of mechanics at you. Like we'll talk about it once we get to the airship.
Yeah,
which we see coming at the end of this cutscene.
Yeah,
I think
I think my initial interpretation of it is definitely coming from a place of having forward knowledge about it, which I don't think is something that you would have if you were playing this for the first time. I think my understanding of this game also comes shaped from like when I was 14, I heard about this game and I heard like, oh yeah, it's like kind of whatever, like the battle system's fun, but whatever and stuff. And always kind of having this like understanding of it and just being like, no, I'm just gonna like have fun with it. And I think it has very questionable, maybe just of its time game design things, like the 100% stuff to get like the ending that everyone wants seems like a misstep.
The ending that everyone wants, except for apparently the guy who wrote the scenario and wrote the ending.
I mean, maybe that was his way of doing it. He's like, yeah, you can get it, but you have to fucking work for it.
Yeah, maybe so.
And not in a fun way, not in like fighting penance way, but like, oh, you didn't talk to the fucking Moogle? Oh,
yeah,
30 hours ago? Damn, sorry.
Yeah,
try again, loser. I think that's, bad design, but, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. So I think next time at the beginning of the next episode, we'll explain a little bit about the 100% there. But just for the listeners who do want to play along with us, I am following a Steam achievements guide when I do it because it's accurate. If you follow every step, you'll get 100%, and it does it all in order, and it has them like itemized, like here's the thing to do now, and now talk to this person, and now talk to this person. So it's a pretty good guide for that. So I'm using that. If you are going to play along with us and follow along with us, I think the next episode we'll probably get through Gagazet and the Return to Luca when we come back here. So that's what I would do for next episode.
Sounds good.
Gagazet.
Yeah. And real quick, because I know this episode is already 10 jillion hours long, I wanted to make a correction from the Final Fantasy II season. Specifically, I fucked up about Leg Watch, the one thing I care most about.
Oh my God.
Can't believe it. The final boss of Final Fantasy 12 does have legs.
Damn.
I said he did not on that episode.
I don't even know.
No one has pointed it out to me. So, yeah.
Well, hey, it takes
no one listened to that.
No one likes Final Fantasy 12, and also no one listened to that.
Expect a formal statement soon.
Yes. I apologize for my actions.
It takes a big man to admit his mistake, even when no one noticed or listened to him make the mistake.
Yeah. And everybody who hears him admit it are like, I don't care.
This bit's gone on for too long.
Yeah. So there's the well-deserved end to Leg Watch. Final Fantasy 12 final boss does have legs.
I would say we'll do better this season, but I know we won't. We're still going to say dumb shit that's wrong, and that's fine.
Right. Oh, the final boss of 10-2, legs. But we'll get there when we get there.
Oh. Well, from what I've seen of the game so far, I feel like that has a very specific type of connotation. So
this game got loads of legs.
It's got so many legs.
A lot of leg.
All right, well, that's all I got to say.
Alex, what can I do for you?
What can I do for you?
Ooh. Wow.
Where can I find you guys on the internet?
Well, Twitter doesn't exist anymore, so
it's new Twitter.
Yeah, new Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm on that. Is anyone really on that? Because it's underused.
No, but more people every day, I've noticed.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, Twitch is probably the best place. Yeah, just go read a book. God damn. I can't do that because my ADHD has gotten really bad. But my name is Carl Germ. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Carl Germ. I have been doing a lot more variety stuff than just Dark Souls speedruns recently. And I'm also slowly working on putting shit on YouTube, but it's mostly just going to be like stream shit just dumped there as well. So, you can find me. I'm on the internet. You can tweet at me if you want.
YouTube.
You can find me on the new Twitter. Obviously, my name is Twirl and Curtis on there. Twitch.tv/Twirl and Curtis. I am on the Blue Sky as well, so if you want to go on there, Twirl and Curtis also on there. I have a TikTok now. How about that?
Yeah.
I think it's Twirl and Curtis _ There's 2 Twirl and Curtises because I don't have the password to my first one. So the one with the underscore, that's the one I use, baby. I just post art on there.
I only look at TikTok to find closure to animal videos that are stolen from TikTok.
Yeah.
I have uploaded several videos to TikTok. They're all like art process videos, like after I draw something, like showing the process of how to draw it or whatever. I don't know that I've ever watched another TikTok though.
I'm the only author who's written more books than he's read.
Yeah.
This is like The Office, where it's just you with like a Word document open, and they tell Creed that's his personal website, but it's just a Word document.
Yeah, it's a baffling platform. We're old men who don't understand it. I'm also on there, but I posted some Zelda videos that for some reason a lot of people looked at, and then I stopped posting on there because people seeing stuff stresses me out.
And I am MAL4M on most things. I don't social media very much, but
I think it is important to say that it is pronounced malform, which is really cool.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
when we are
Malam.
in streams and I see him and like the streamer will be like, "What's up, Malam?" And I'm always like, "Yes,
Malam Garden, big Final Fantasy
Malam
VIII.
Garden."
Some people call me Mal. I'm like, I've kind of grown into it.
Yeah, sure.
I like
Yeah.
it.
I love when people ask me like, "Hey, where did you get your name?" And I'm like, "It's not
My
an
mom.
interesting story. It is well, my dad. I mean, my dad did name me after Karl Marx, which I guess is the interesting part of that story, which I usually don't say. But it's I don't have a cool gamer name. My last name starts with GERM. That's the deep lore. I'm not creative.
Yeah, Germson.
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 Yeah, that's it for episode 1 of 10-2. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to Noriko Matsuda. Oh, yeah, how do you say that?
Oh, wait,
Matsuda?
hold on, I got it written down.
Noriko Matsuda, Takahito Aguchi for the game music. Be sure to leave us a rating, a review, and subscribe to us wherever you're listening to us. You can find us at every FNFF on new Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Old Twitter.
You can hop on our Discord, which I think we have a link to that in our show notes. And though I know the world of real podcasting has surrounded me, I won't give into it now. I know that forward is the only way my heart can go. I hear your voice calling out to me. You'll never be alone.
I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.